A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Kroger Tenderay Beef. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. K is for Kroger. Z is for cut. B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef. And Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Remember that fact, ladies. Remember that Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. And for this reason. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Yes, that's before the meat is weighed and priced. And listen, you get the top U.S. government grades of beef. Yes, it's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So you get better value in top-grade beef. Let's take a Kroger cut chuck roast as an example. Before the roast is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat. You're bound to get a better value because you get more solid meat, only a minimum of bone. No matter which you prefer, steak or roast, you receive more meat, less waste in Kroger cut beef. But make that discovery for yourself. Visit your neighborhood Kroger store and get Kroger cut beef. It gives you more meat for your money. And now, Hearts in Harmony. If life is full of heartache, and those who make plans are building monuments to disappoint, people in love are not aware of it. For lovely Penny Gibbs and wealthy Barry Carlton, in love, are planning richly for the future, far and near. Out for an evening's drive with Barry, Penny says,
"Oh, Barry, I never thought you and I'd talk about the things we talk about."
Neither did I, Penny. Just bears out that old saying, one never knows, does one?
Neither do, too. Oh, it's hard to believe that any of this is true, darling. I mean, that I won't wake up some morning.
You'll wake up some morning and realize that before the day is over, you'll no longer be Miss Penny Gibbs.
And that'll be strange, having a new name, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it'll be months before I get used to it.
Well, wait till you start writing it. That's when you'll run into trouble.
I'll even have to sign my name differently, won't I?
Mm-hmm. Maybe you'd better do a little practicing.
Mrs. Barry Carlton. Oh, I hope you won't be offended, darling, but the name sounds awfully strange to me.
Mrs. Barry Carlton sounds a little strange to me, too, Penny. After all, there's never been one.
I sometimes wonder whether there will be or not.
Say, now, you're not going back on me now, are you?
No, darling. It's just the days seem so long. You know, time used to fly for me. Now the hours themselves seem like days.
Yeah.
And the days like months.
No, weeks.
You have to get technical. Where are we driving to?
Oh, someplace.
Someplace special?
Well, I hope it will be one of these days.
No, then we aren't just going for a ride.
Well, yes and no. I thought it would be nice to go for a drive this evening, but I thought we might put the trip to good use, too.
Trip is right. We must be 30 miles out of Rossville by now.
Yeah, just about. Penny, you wouldn't cherish the thought of living in that museum Mother calls home after we're married, would you?
No, I guess I've been so excited I hadn't even thought about where we'd live.
Well, we can live at Mother's if you want to. There's plenty of room. But Mother says we're silly if we don't move into a place of our own.
Oh, darling, it wouldn't be necessary, would it?
You and I aren't going to worry about what's necessary or unnecessary. Whatever we want to do, we'll do. No, here's the place I'm looking for.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, wait till I pull off the highway. I'll show you.
Okay.
There. Can you see through the window on my side of the car?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you see?
Nothing. Nothing but a hill.
About 10 miles away, and it's more of a baby mountain than a hill. I bought that yesterday.
You bought that?
Uh-huh. That's our mountain now. I was thinking, if you liked living way out here, we'd build a home on top of it. Pretty good road all the way up to the top.
Barry, you should.
Now, don't scold me. The land didn't cost much, and one of my secret ambitions is to live on top of a mountain where I can look out the big picture window in the living room and see for miles and miles.
I'm afraid my dreams haven't been that ambitious. I was living on top of a mountain or a hill or whatever that is over there. It sounds too grand for me.
Well, it won't have to be a mansion of a place, Penny. It certainly won't be anything like Mother's. I don't want that myself. I'm sure you don't.
No, I think I prefer something a little more modest than your mother's house.
Penny, we could build a small house on that hilltop. Just a small place at first, and then add to it as we wanted more room.
Oh, I'd like it to be small, darling. I'm tired of keeping house, and the smaller the better.
Hey, wait a minute, young lady. If you think you're going to do one lick of housework, well, what do you think servants are for?
Well, I guess I'll have to admit, Barry, that it's going to be a thrill to have servants. Oh, I can even have breakfast in bed if I want to.
You can have all 3 meals in bed if you want to.
No, that's overdoing the luxury. Oh, darling, we don't want too many servants. I hope I'm not used to them.
Well, you'll get used to them soon enough. Say, you're popular with Mother's servants. When they heard that we were getting married, they all put in bids for jobs with us. I think Mother's going to have a contest and let the winners work for us.
Oh, it's going to be strange, but wonderful. I'm kind of used to them.
I know what you're used to doing. You're used to beating your brains and breaking your back and trying to hold a job and keep a house running at the same time.
I'm trying to.
But once you're Mrs. Barry Carlton, no job, no housework.
And I won't complain. But, Barry, what'll I do with my time?
Just waste it, loving me and being loved by me. Oh, boy, what a wonderful waste of time that's going to be.
Oh, I guess I should be spanked for being so thrilled about it. But the thought of just being lazy is appealing to me.
Oh, well, you've learned how to be lazy. Give parties, go to parties.
Barry,
what?
do you have the engine still running? You're wasting gas.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm trying to run out of it so we can stay here and dream all night.
You're doing wonderful dreams.
You're in every one of them. That's what makes them so wonderful.
You're in all of mine. Yep, they're the loveliest dreams I've ever had. But I dreamed only of you, not of all this.
You wouldn't. You'd be just as happy if I said we'd live in a half-sunken houseboat up the river in Patchtown.
No, I wouldn't. At least I think I want to live a little bit better than that.
Why, you snob. You'd be surprised how a houseboat can be fixed up to... Oh, well, what do we care? We're going to live in that house there up on the hill. Hey, can you see it standing there now?
Mm-hmm. And I can see myself standing out in the front lawn looking down here, waiting for your car to turn off the highway.
And I can see myself peering through the windshield of my car as I drive toward the hill, trying to make out the tiny figure of a girl on the hilltop waving to me.
We're dreaming like a couple of kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're acting like a couple of kids, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, who has more fun than kids, huh?
You have a point there.
Well, Penny, that's my dream. That hilltop, that house. Shall we make that dream come true?
It's my dream, too, Barry. And I always wish for my dreams to come true.
Good. It's all settled then. I'll call an architect I know in New York, and he'll come up, and then we... Or would you like to have Johnny draw the plan?
No, I'd rather he didn't.
I didn't think you would. That's why I thought of this fellow in New York right away.
I think that'd be better.
I'd like to give Johnny the work and let him make his fee, but after all, it would be sort of rubbing it in, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think Johnny'd be grateful for the job, but it might hurt him.
Say, I have it. Let's give the plans to your foster father.
To Jed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be wonderful for him.
Uh-huh.
Uh-uh.
What?
What Jed draws, Johnny builds. At least that's the way it's always been.
Oh.
No, it'd hurt Johnny if Jed drew our plans and gave the work to someone else.
Yeah, I should think it would. Well, we're putting the house before the wedding, aren't we? Maybe we'd better worry less about Johnny Keith and our home and more about the where, when, what, and how of our wedding.
Let's bring some more pencils, Jed. So short they can't be sharpened much more.
Well, when you do bring him, Johnny, bring me a half dozen double zeros, will you?
All right, Jed. Well, what do you think? We ready to go ahead and build?
Johnny Keith is asking me when to build?
Well, this is different, Jed. A lot of our future depends on how the dream house turns out.
What do you say we turn it out and let it take care of itself,
You're that sure of it, are you?
No, but I'm not afraid of a gamble. Are you?
No. If you're not, I'm not.
Good. Then let's go ahead and build.
Hello, I'm home.
Oh, hello, Penny.
Well, I'll be going, Jed.
No, son, you just sit right here.
Hey, the house is awfully quiet. Where is everybody? Oh, hello, Johnny.
Hello, Penny.
Penny, Johnny and I have just decided to go ahead and build the dream house.
Oh, you mean you decided, Jed?
Good. I certainly wish you lots of luck.
We'll need more than luck. We'll need buyers.
Build a better house trap, and the world will be the path to your office.
I hope you're right, Jed. Well, I've got to beat a path to my bed. It's getting late. Good night, Jed.
Good night, son.
I'll walk to the door with you, Johnny.
Well, you don't have to.
I'll be right back, Jed.
Will you bring me that book on the living room table when you come back, child?
Yep. You excited about building the dream house, Johnny?
Oh, I think I'll be more excited about selling it than building it, Penny. By the way, you wouldn't be in the market for one, would you?
Well,
I was only kidding, Penny. I couldn't imagine Barry Carlton and his bride living in a 5-room bungalow. Well, 5 rooms will hardly be enough for the servants.
Look, Johnny,
Well, don't tell me you won't have servants, Penny. You'll need them. Not for yourself, or for Barry.
As a matter of fact, Barry did say we'd have servants.
Oh?
Mm-hmm. But there'll be a necessity. We're going to have a rather large home, Johnny. Not too large.
You really did all right for yourself, didn't you? Well, good night.
Johnny, wait a minute.
What for?
I don't think you should talk to me like that.
I haven't said anything that wasn't the truth, Penny. You know, I'm proud of you.
No?
You kept me dangling and hoping for weeks and months just to have me around in case something better failed to come along. But something better did come along, all right.
So that's what you think of me, is it?
No, Penny. What I think of you doesn't matter anymore, especially to you. It matters to me. I'm beginning to lose all respect for myself.
You know, Johnny, plain jealousy isn't very becoming to you.
What do you want me to show? Fancy jealousy? Would that make you feel even more smug than you do now?
No, you're the one who's being smug now, Johnny.
I don't know about that.
You seem to have a sudden air of self-righteousness about yourself. Where did that come from? Have you always done everything for someone else, nothing for yourself?
We're not talking about that.
I am, Johnny. Kind of thought you'd be a little bit different about this. Certainly, of all people, I didn't expect you to criticize me for wanting to marry Barry. Well, what if he is rich? His money doesn't keep me from being in love with him. Or have you forgotten what it's like to be in love?
No, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten who I was in love with either. But I think it's about time I did. Good luck, Penny. And, when you're Mrs. Barry Carlton, don't forget the other half is still living.
Johnny, keep you...
Penny, something the matter out there?
No, Jed. No, nothing's the matter. Nothing at all.
Is Penny Gibbs going to marry wealthy Barry Carlton and lose all her friends? Will Johnny Keith's bitterness cast a threatening shadow over Penny's happiness? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB. KCB. KCB means Kroger Cut Beef, and Kroger Cut Beef means more meat for your money. Right. Kroger Cut Beef gives you more meat, less waste, because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Take a Kroger cut round steak or roast, for example. The Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat before the steak or roast is weighed and priced. You get a minimum of bone, and you get top U.S. government grades of beef, beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. But visit your neighborhood Kroger store and see for yourself. And remember, whether you buy a steak or a roast, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat for your money. Ladies, make plans right this instant to visit your neighborhood Kroger store, the only place you can buy Kroger cut beef. Surprise and delight your family with a delicious and juicy steak or roast. And remember, in Kroger cut beef, you get more meat for your money, because the Kroger method of cutting beef gives you more meat, less waste. Get Kroger cut beef right away at your neighborhood Kroger store. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette with premium quality throughout in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You get a call that a 72-year-old man has been murdered. His invalid wife has been brutally beaten. There's no lead to the assailants. Your job, get them. When you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it and who smoke it all the time. For almost a year now, a medical specialist has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months. He reports no adverse effects to their noses, their throats, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. You'll find Chesterfield much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 12th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 8:12 a.m. when we got to 8469 North Brighton Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Mrs. Hurley?
Yes, who are you?
Police officers. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, well, it's about time you got here.
Yes, ma'am. I wonder if we could see Mrs. Stone.
I don't think so. The ambulance man's with her now, giving her some kind of pill, something to calm her down. Lord knows the poor thing certainly needs something.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to see her, please.
Like I said, I don't know if you can. I'll have to ask the ambulance man.
Well, I'm sure it's all right, ma'am, if you just let us talk to the attendant.
You just wait here. I'll talk to him.
Now, look, I don't like to be rude, ma'am, but this is a murder investigation. If you'll open the door, please.
How do I know you're what you say you are? How do I know you're cops?
Well, here's our identification.
Well, looks enough like you, I guess. All right, come on.
Thank you. Where is Mrs. Stone?
Back there, in the back bedroom.
I'll check with the attendant.
Right, Frank. I wonder if you could tell us what you know about this, Mrs. Hurley.
You just bet I can. You just bet. That poor woman back there. She's lying at death's door because you didn't do your job. You know that?
Ma'am?
At death's door. It's your job to see that things like this don't happen. That's what you're paid for. And look, just look. Her poor husband dead and herself all beaten. Poor thing. I just don't understand what the world's coming to when things like this can happen.
Well, first, ma'am, there was no way we could stop this. I think you understand that. We're trying to clean it up now. We're going to need your help to do it. Now, if you just tell me what happened, please.
Yeah, that's what you say. I know different.
All right, Mrs. Hurley. The faster we can get started on this thing, the better chance we have of getting the people responsible for it.
I suppose so. Well, what do you want to know?
Well, if you'd please start at the beginning and tell me what you know about it.
Yeah. Well, it started this morning. About 7 or 7:15, I think. I heard this noise at the back door, kind of a scratching kind of noise. And a moan, a little tiny moan. Sounded like it was way off, kind of in the distance.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I wasn't sure that I wasn't dreaming the whole thing. You know how it is when you're awakened out of a sound sleep.
Yes, I understand.
Well, it was like that. Took me about 10 minutes before I knew that there really was something there. Well, I got up and went to the door. And that's when I found her, right there at the back door, kind of laying on the porch. I could see right away that someone had beaten her. That's when I called the ambulance. And then she told me about how her husband had been killed, and then I called you. The other car, the one with the men in uniform, come out.
Mm-hmm.
They looked around, and then they went over to the house.
That'd be the Stones' house?
That's right, next door.
I see. How about it, Frank?
Well, it's pretty bad, Joe. They're treating her now.
Can we see her?
Only attendant says it'll be all right for a couple of minutes. Not much more than that. They're going to take her to Georgia Street.
Okay.
He said he'd let us know when we could talk to her.
All right, fine. Did she tell you what happened, Mrs. Hurley? Anything at all?
Just that there was 2 men. They come in and beat up on her, killed her husband. That was enough. One look at her, and I could tell she was hurt bad. And her an invalid. I just don't understand how anybody in their right mind could do a thing like this. I just don't understand it.
Yes, ma'am. Now, you say that she's an invalid, is that right?
Yes, they were involved in an auto accident a couple of years ago. Some drunk ran right into them, smashed the car all up, laid Mr. Stone up for a couple of months, and put Patricia in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Can't walk at all. She crawled over here. Don't know how she did it. Great courage.
Yes, ma'am. Did you hear anything at all last night? Any disturbances?
Not a thing. Went to bed about 10, slept like a rock. Didn't hear a thing until this morning. That was about 7:15 maybe, like I said. Nope, I didn't hear a thing.
Well, do you know if there was anyone that the Stones were afraid of? Anyone who might have done anything like this?
Nope. I can't think of a soul.
How about money, ma'am? Did Mr. Stone keep large sums of money around the house?
Well, now, I don't know. You might ask.
Joe?
Well, yeah, Hal.
You want to see her now?
Yeah, come on, Frank.
All right.
You going to want to talk to me some more?
Yes, ma'am, we'll be back. Mrs. Stone? Mrs. Stone?
Yes? Who is it?
Police officers, ma'am. We know you don't feel well, but there are a few questions we'd like to ask, if you don't mind.
You got them in yet? The ones who did this?
No, ma'am, not yet.
I tried to tell them. I tried. They just wouldn't listen.
Ma'am.
I told them to take whatever they wanted and leave us alone. Just leave us alone. I tried to tell them. They wouldn't listen. They killed Henry. They tried to kill me.
Do you know who they were, Mrs. Stone?
What?
I say, do you know who they were? The men who did this, do you know who they were? Had you ever seen them before?
No, I don't think so. It was dark. Then I heard them argue with Henry. I tried to get up. I tried to help him, but I couldn't. I screamed, but they didn't pay attention. Then they killed her.
Ma'am, can you describe them for us? Tell us how tall they were, how they were dressed, maybe?
They didn't know that I was there. Then they came into my room, and they said they'd kill the other one, so they might as well kill me, too. I tried to tell them to go away, but they wouldn't listen. They just hit me and hit me and hit me. There wasn't anything I could do.
Did they drive a car, ma'am? Is there anything you can tell us that might help us in identifying them? Did one of them use a name, maybe?
They locked me in the closet. They put that pillow over my head. I don't know why. I told them they could take what they wanted. Take it if they just leave us alone, but they didn't. They killed Henry. They tried to kill me.
All right, Mrs. Stone, everything's going to be all right here. Don't worry now. Just try and get some rest.
Doesn't matter much now. Isn't anything that matters anymore. Nothing now that they killed Henry.
All right, ma'am. Please try not to get upset.
Joe?
Yeah.
Better get her downtown.
Well, how's it look for her, Hal? What are her chances?
Depends.
Yeah.
How hard she wants to try.
8:46 a.m. The ambulance removed Mrs. Stone to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. We put in a call to the crime lab, and then we talked to the neighbor, Mrs. Hurley. She could add little to what she'd already told us. She said that she'd heard no loud noises during the night and that she'd seen no one in the neighborhood acting suspicious. She told us, however, that Mr. Stone was known to have kept large sums of money in the house. She went on to say that he made no attempt to hide his distrust of banks and that he had often said that all of his money was on the premises. 9:02 a.m. Frank and I went next door to the Stone home. The crime lab and latent fingerprint crews had arrived and were going over the place for physical evidence. We talked to Ray Pinker of the crime lab.
This is how they got in.
Yeah, toward the screen, huh?
Must have done it with their hands. Couldn't find any tool marks.
You figured the door was open then, huh, Ray?
Yeah, looks that way. One of those old-fashioned locks, no indication that they forced it.
Mm-hmm. Did you find anything else?
Took a look back here in the closet.
Mm-hmm. Well, they sure tore the place up, didn't they?
Yeah, went through everything. Even took the pictures off the walls.
Yeah.
Ripped up the bedding. It was in the drawer they didn't go through.
Any prints at all?
Bergman's checking it. Haven't found anything yet that I know of.
Pretty bad.
Here. Look at the mattress on the husband's bed. Tore it all up. Stuffing scattered around the room. Looks like a tornado went through the place. The closet's back here. This was Mrs. Stone's room. You can see where they dragged her.
Yeah.
Must have hit her the first time about here, and then they dragged her over to this closet, dropped her in here. You can see where she stacked those suitcases up there to pull herself out the window.
I don't know how she did it. Bad off as she was. Looks like robbery was the motive then, huh, Ray?
Can't agree with that, Joe.
Why?
Come on back in Stone's room. found the murder weapon. Checked around. It looks like they picked him up in the backyard. Here, take a look. A couple of wooden clubs. Looks like they came from a walnut tree just outside the back door. Kind of blows the robbery angle.
Yeah.
They were ready to kill the Stones when they came in.
9:30 a.m. The crime lab finished their investigation of the house. The backyard and the surrounding ground were gone over. In the soft earth at the foot of one of the walnut trees, a pair of footprints was found and plaster casts were made of them. On the lower limbs of the trees, we found the place where the 2 clubs could have been taken. The rest of the yard and the immediate vicinity were combed, but we found nothing. 12:15 p.m. Frank put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. They told him that Mrs. Stone had been given emergency treatment and then had been removed to the county hospital. Her condition was listed as critical. They said that it would be some time before we'd be able to talk to her. 1:30 p.m. We began to canvass the neighborhood. From the people in the surrounding houses, we found that Mr. Stone had retired from the wholesale grocery business about 10 years ago. He devoted himself to the cultivation of prize roses and the care of Mrs. Stone. The neighbors told us that the Stones were quiet and that they seldom entertained. 3:15 p.m. We went back to talk to Mrs. Hurley.
I knew you'd be back.
Ma'am?
I knew you'd come back to talk to me again. Could have told you a lot, but I thought I'd just let you try and find out for yourself. Didn't do too well, did you? Did you?
I don't think I understand, Miss Hurley.
Simple. Anything you want to know about this neighborhood, you come to the source. That's me. Anybody knows what's going on here, I do.
Yeah, well, if you had information that you thought we should have had, why didn't you tell us before, ma'am?
I didn't want to.
Ma'am?
I said I didn't want to. I still say that you were responsible for this whole thing, done your job, and it wouldn't have happened. Oh, I still haven't forgot. Oh, no, sir.
Now, look, Miss Hurley, this is a murder investigation. I told you that before. A man has been killed. A woman's been badly beaten. We're going to need all the cooperation from you that we can get.
I'm ready now.
What?
I'll cooperate. I'll tell you what you want to know.
All right, Miss Hurley. First, do you have any idea who might have done this?
You just bet I have.
Who, ma'am?
Their boy. Only one that's mean enough to do it. Only one.
Their boy?
Sure. Herman Jr. He's the one. You just bet.
Why do you say that?
Because I know, that's why. Mean kid. Always had trouble with him. Because the only trouble ever was between Patricia and me. Troublemaker. That's what he was. Pure and simple, a troublemaker.
How old is this boy, Miss Hurley?
36, a real monster.
You know where the boy is now?
No, and I'm not interested. Happiest day of my life when he moved out of the house. Oh, he and I used to get in some arguments. Little brat. Stand there and think he was so big. Finally, Mr. Stone saw it. Told him to get out. Moved right out of the house, bag and parcel, right out.
You mean that Mr. Stone and the boy had arguments?
See? That's what I mean. No wonder people don't cooperate with you.
I beg your pardon?
I say something, then you ask me if I mean it. Of course I mean it. I wouldn't say it otherwise. Like people who ask, what time is it? You tell them, and then they ask if you're sure. If they don't want to believe you, why do they ask you in the first place?
Yes, ma'am. Were you there at the time, ma'am?
No, I wasn't. It was a warm night. Just a couple of months ago, all the windows was open, and I just couldn't help seeing into their house. You know, houses being close together. You can understand it.
Yes, ma'am, we can understand.
I don't like the way you said that, young man.
Well, I didn't mean anything by it, Mrs. Hurley.
Well, I suppose not. But I don't want you to get the idea that I'm the nosy type.
Oh, no, ma'am, not at all.
Well, anyway, Mr. Stone told Herman to get his things and get out. Right out. That night.
Uh-huh. Well, did the boy leave that night?
Oh, yes. Went right into his room and packed. Said he'd never come back. That he didn't want anything more to do with the old man.
Mm-hmm.
Then his father said that was the way he wanted it. He was going to cut him out of his will. Well, you can just believe that's when the trouble really started.
Well, now, where was Mrs. Stone all this time?
Well, she was in her room, but she come out. Wheeled herself right out. Told them to stop this foolishness. She always was kind of pampering the boy. I think myself that's what caused him to be like he was. You know, tied to his mother's apron strings all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
That's when Herman said that about doing something. Said that the old man was senile. Said that he was crazy. And that the money was his, and he was going to see that he got it.
Mm-hmm.
Said he meant to have it if he had to kill somebody.
4:10 p.m. We got the full name and description of the Stone boy from Mrs. Hurley. We went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. We found a Herman Stone, Jr. with a record listing 3 arrests on charges of 4127A LAMC. We checked out his last known address, a hotel on South Hill, and found that he'd moved several weeks before. The manager gave us a forwarding address, and at 6:10 p.m., Frank and I drove out to see him. It was a large apartment hotel on Wilshire Boulevard. We talked to the desk clerk.
Sure, I know Herman. Nice guy. Once in a while he gets a little loud, but most of the time he's a real nice guy.
Is he here now?
I don't think so. Let me look. Key's here. I think I saw him go out about an hour ago. He wasn't feeling too well. Bad hangover.
Any idea where he might be?
No, like I said, I didn't talk to him. Just saw him go out.
You know what he does for a living?
Herman?
Yes, sir.
I don't think he does nothing. Plays the horses a little bit, picks up a buck that way. Good player. Sure knows the dogs. Given me a couple of tips. Didn't do any good. He sure does all right. Made a real killing yesterday. Must have hit it for about $4,000 or $5,000.
That right?
Yeah. Showed me the money this morning. Real big roll. At least $4 or $5 grand. Tips he gave me never did that good.
You got any idea where he was last night?
So what's this all about anyway? Herm done something?
Well, it'd be better if we talked to him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you guys know what you're doing, huh?
Well, yes, sir.
He asked me if I knew what he was doing last night.
Uh-huh.
I sure do. He really tied one on. Of course, with his luck, I don't wonder. Really tied one on.
Sir?
Loaded. He got in here. He had a bottle. So you won't say anything about this to the management, will you?
No, sir, we won't.
Couldn't have that happen. They don't approve of drinking while I'm on duty. You understand. Kind of stuffy, but that's the way they look at it.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, old Herm rolls in here, and he's got this bottle. Asked me to have one with him. Well, I don't like to get him sore, so I do. And we have a couple of more. Old Herm, that boy can really put it away.
Yes, sir. What time was that?
Let's see. I guess about 7, maybe 7:15.
Mm-hmm. Did he go out after that?
Sure didn't. Killed the bottle, and then he passed right out, cold. Slept there on that couch.
Uh-huh.
No, sir. Old Herm didn't go anyplace.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is the first cigarette to offer smokers premium quality in both regular and king size. King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
8:12 p.m. Herman Stone returned to the hotel. Frank and I talked to him for about an hour. He appeared quite shaken when we told him of his father's death. We questioned him about the money that he'd suddenly come up with. He explained that he'd won it at the races. He gave us the name of the man who accompanied him to the track. Frank and I checked with him and found that Stone's story was true. We checked his shoe size and found that it was not the same as the print found at the scene of the murder. 10:46 p.m. We called the office and they told us that we'd gotten a message from the county hospital. Mrs. Stone was able to talk. She wasn't completely out of danger, but barring a relapse, she was expected to recover. Frank and I drove out to the hospital and talked to her.
I wish I could help you more than I have, but there just isn't anything else.
Well, could you give us any idea of about how tall they were?
That'd be pretty hard to do, Mr. Friday. I was lying down when they came into my room. I could only guess, but I'd say maybe as tall as you. I don't think much taller.
I see. Now, how about their build, ma'am? Was it heavy or slight?
I can't be sure. I guess if I must say one or the other, I'd have to say they're about medium. One was very strong, though.
Ma'am?
The one that carried me to the closet. He was strong. Just lifted me out of bed and carried me over to the closet and threw me on the floor.
Did your husband have any large amounts of money in the house?
Yes. Yes, he did. Herman never believed in banks, not since the crash. Always said that he could take care of the money as well as they could.
Yes, ma'am.
He had all of his savings in the house. Kept them in the mattress on his bed.
Do you know about how much that might be, Mrs. Stone?
I'd only be guessing, but I'd say maybe $12,000 or $13,000. Herman didn't discuss finances with me. He always thought it was a man's business, that I shouldn't have to worry about it. I tried to tell him. Tried all the time.
What's that, ma'am?
That he should put the money in a bank. He used to talk about it, too. I know that didn't help any.
Well, who did he talk to, Mrs. Stone?
People in the neighborhood. He used to tell them that he didn't get the interest, but that he always knew just where his money was. He used to ask them if they could say the same.
Can you think of anybody in the neighborhood who might do a thing like this?
Oh, no. We've lived there for a long time. No, none of them would even think about it.
I see. Did you or your husband have any enemies? Anyone that you had any arguments with, maybe?
No, there wasn't anyone. Mr. Friday.
Yes, ma'am?
Does my son know about this? Does he know that his father's... Does he know about it?
Yes, ma'am, he does. He's outside in the hall right now. He said he'd like to see you.
Poor boy. Never did get along with his father. I tried to make them understand each other. I tried so hard. Didn't seem to do any good.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's nothing else that you can tell us, ma'am.
There's one thing. I hate to mention it. It seems so silly.
What's that, Mrs. Stone?
When they were arguing with Herman in the next room, they got very loud. I thought that I recognized one of the voices, and I can't be sure, but at the time I thought it.
Yes, ma'am.
Then when they came into my room, I was pretty sure. But I could be wrong, and I wouldn't want to cause anybody any trouble. I wouldn't want to make a mistake.
Well, who do you think it might have been? Whose voice do you think it was?
It sounded like Smokey's.
Who?
Smokey. He used to do some work around the yard for Herman. That was a year or so ago. I haven't seen him since then.
Well, do you know where we can get in touch with him, ma'am?
No, I don't. As I said, I haven't seen him in over a year.
What's his full name, Mrs. Stone?
I don't know. That's why I thought it might be a little silly. I don't even know his right name. He just told us his name was Smokey. The young man always had a cigarette in his mouth. Chain smoker, I think he'd call.
Uh-huh.
Herman used to kid him about it, smoking all the time. I don't think Smokey liked it. He was a pretty serious young man. He used to get a little angry at Herman.
I see. Can you give us a description of the man?
Oh, yes. Nice-looking boy. I hope I haven't made a mistake. I hope I haven't done the wrong thing.
Well, don't you worry about it, Miss Stone.
What?
That's his worry now. We continued to talk to Mrs. Stone. We got the description of the handyman who'd worked for her husband. 11:28 p.m. We went back to the city hall and ran the name and description through the moniker files in R&I. We came up with one good possible. In checking his record, we found that his full name was Charles P. Roxford. His age was listed as 37 years. The rest of his description matched the one we'd gotten from Mrs. Stone. He had an arrest record listing several charges of forgery, and at that time there was an outstanding warrant on him for check passing. We went back to the office and called Forgery Division. Yeah, Roxford. Yeah, that's right, Charles R. Huh? Oh, we want to talk to him about a killing out on Brighton, yeah. What? When was that? Yeah. Okay, we'll be right there. Well, that's a break.
What do you mean? They know where he is?
They got him. Charles Roxford had been picked up a few minutes before by officers in Forgery Division while he was trying to pass a bad check. Frank and I went down the hall and took the prisoner to the interrogation room. We talked to him for 2 hours. During that time, he'd admit nothing except his name and that he'd been trying to pass a phony check.
You're off your rocker, and you know it. You got me for one thing, hanging paper. That's it, and you can't make anything more out of it.
How about this money we found on you?
Yeah, how about it?
Where'd it come from?
I won it.
Where?
In a crap game.
Where was the game?
I forgot. It was a floating game. Moved around a lot.
You worked for the Stone family a year or so ago?
I don't know. I might have. I worked for a lot of people.
You worked for them?
I might have, like I said.
They seem to think you did.
All right, so I did. What's that mean?
You ever have any arguments with Stone?
No. Got along good. Never had no trouble.
His wife thinks different.
Oh, that's so?
That's right.
And she's off a rocket, too. Now, look, maybe you guys got all night, but I haven't.
You aren't going anyplace.
Well, how about booking me in? Let's talk in the morning, then, huh?
All right, fine, Roxford. As soon as you answer a few more questions.
I told you all I know.
Maybe you forgot something. Let's go over it again. What do you say?
All right. Where do you want to start?
Well, can you tell us what you've been doing the last few days?
Any day in particular, or do you want to run down minute by minute?
You just tell us what you've been doing, will you?
Let's see. This is Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
All right, let's start with Monday. That all right with you?
Come on, get on with it.
Well, I got up yesterday morning about, I think it was 11:30, lit a cigarette, got dressed, went downstairs and had some breakfast. Interesting?
Go ahead.
Oh, I can spice it up for you, if you want. It's kind of dull when you tell it straight.
You just tell the story, man.
Oh, what are you guys trying to prove? What are you trying to tell?
What'd you do last night?
I had dinner and went to a show.
Where'd you eat dinner?
Place down on the spring.
Did you eat alone?
Yeah.
What'd you do then?
Like I said, I went to a show.
Who went with you?
Nobody. I didn't say anybody went with me.
Oh, I must have thought you said that.
Yeah. I went alone.
Right. Where'd you go after that?
I walked around, had a couple of drinks.
Where?
A bar down on Fifth.
What time was that?
About 12:30 or so.
Anybody with you?
No.
You know the bartender?
No, I never went in the place before.
Then you got no way of proving you were there.
No, do I have to?
It'd help.
Well, why? I'm a big boy now. I don't have to explain anything to you guys. Now get off my back, will you? I'm getting sick of playing footsie.
Where'd you go after you left that bar?
I went home.
Where's that?
It's a place over on 4th.
What time did you get in?
I don't know. Maybe 1:30, 2.
Mm-hmm. Desk clerk see you come in?
No, he's asleep.
How long ago did you say you worked for the Stone?
I didn't. You said I worked for him a year ago.
Is that right?
I guess so. I forgot. What's this bit about the Stones?
You got any way of proving where you were last night?
Like I said, I don't have to.
That's the way you look at it, mister.
You're in trouble if you can't come up with an alibi we can't break.
That right?
Yep.
Why?
Because Mrs. Stone got a good look at you.
She couldn't have. The lights were out.
Yeah, no, that's clever, Roxford. You want to tell us about it now? Come on, Roxford.
All right, I should have known. I should have known. I never should have done it, but I didn't have any choice. You can't figure that, can you?
What do you mean?
Well, I owed this money. The guys were getting tired of waiting. They said I had to come up with it. I didn't have any choice.
Is that right?
Sure. Well, you can see it, can't you? I had to come up with the money. I tried to win it back. The more I played, the more I owed him. There just wasn't any other way. I knew old man Stone had it. Wasn't doing him any good, and I needed it, and I knew where he kept the money.
Who was with you?
Jackie Forbes.
You know where we can find him?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
All right, you want to get the stenographer, Frank?
Yeah.
I should have known. Should have known, but there just wasn't any choice. There wasn't any other way.
Well, why'd you kill him?
He knew who I was. There's no choice. I had to.
Is that right?
Well, sure, you can see that yourself, can't you? I couldn't find any other way.
You didn't look very hard, did you?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 10th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as I've told you before, Chesterfield is the first cigarette to give you premium quality throughout in both regular and king size. And Chesterfield is the cigarette that gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. Now, as a 2-pack-a-day Chesterfield smoker, I know it's the cigarette that's best for me. They really are much milder, and I'm sure when you try them, regular or king size, you'll agree Chesterfield is best for you.
Charles Richard Roxford and Jack Allen Forbes were tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. They were executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Stacey Harris. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
This one's about Pete Kelly. This one's about him.
It's
about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music and the big trouble and the big roar of the 20s. So when they ask you, you turn right around and speak up. You tell him this one's about the blues. Pete Kelly's blues. Pete Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser, music by Dick Cathcart.
Number 417 Cherry Street is a standard speakeasy. The help is paid in cash, and the books are burned at the end of the month. Every week we use 30 cases of booze and a pound of coffee. After salaries, there's gas and lights and a payoff to the Prohibition boys. In Kansas City, the price is good. For $100, they steer in the drunks and make one rate a year. The place is run by George Lupo. He's a quiet little guy who wouldn't give you the sweat off an ice pitcher. The beer's green and the gin's as young as yesterday, and the music's loud. I'm Pete Kelly. I play cornet. We start every night about 10 o'clock, and we play till they sweep out the broken glass. We don't draw any customers. We don't chase any away. The music is straight New Orleans. It started in the front parlors of Storyville and drifted north. Some of it laid over in Chicago. That's where I got on and rode it out here with a piano player named Rosie. He's still with the band, but last night he was barely with it. We took a break about 11. Rosie was late getting back. Might as well have stayed in there because he kept looking around the room, and the way the piano sounded, you'd think he had on a catcher's mitt. All right, let's take 5, huh?
Sorry, Pete, I'm a little behind tonight.
You haven't left the station. What's the matter?
I'm nervous. Take a look around. Near the door, back this way. Place is full of cops.
Forget it. Have Jake open a couple of windows. And take a walk. Get yourself in shape.
Not till I find out which way to fall. These boys are here for heavy duty. I'll learn that out in the kitchen.
All right, let's duck behind the stand. Come on. All right, what about it?
You know Dutch Courtney?
I drink his beer, that's all.
Somebody shot Courtney up tonight out near Highway 40.
Well, that's too bad. He'd have drawn a good crowd downtown. Who killed him?
I don't know, but whoever he is, he's in for a big night. The police are trying for him, so is his partner.
Well, let him play. How does our place fit into it?
I couldn't guess. We'll soon find out. See the big guy who just walked in the door?
Yeah. Boss cop?
Almost. It's Eddie Newman, Dutch Courtney's partner.
Yeah, come on. We better get back in the stand.
All right, won't be long now. Hot, dry up. How's your old man? All right, hold on now. Here she comes.
All right, Rosie. Yeah. All right, fellas, let's hit it.
Happy New Year. Goodbye, 1921. Hello, 1922.
Yeah.
My name's Newman. Come inside.
Oh, we're due to play.
I'll hear you later. Come on. You hear about Dutch Courtney? They picked him out of the mud tonight.
It means nothing to me.
It does to me. Dutch was a friend.
Well, if it'll help, try.
I'm short on time, Kelly. Give me a rundown on Gus Trudeau.
There's nothing to say. He played for a while, and he went to the boneyard.
You know him. You know his sister.
You'll have to ask Courtney about that. I haven't seen her since the old days.
You know Gus well enough to figure he didn't like Dutch Courtney. He didn't like it 1 pound.
Well, you can't blame him. Dutch sidestepped and paid Trudeau's way to jail.
Bookkeeping. I don't know anything about it.
All right, look, Newman, you're on the wrong track. Now, this is a job killing. Your boy got frisky, and somebody sent down a Chicago gun. The price tag shows.
Sorry, Trudeau's my pick.
What did he hit him with, a high-powered rifle? Gus Trudeau's away up in Leavenworth.
He used to be. Gus went over the wall this morning. When he shows up, I want him.
Well, why pick me?
I ask around. He'll head for you. He's broke. He'll need train fare.
No, not if he killed Dutch Courtney. Somebody will give him a railroad. When they dragged the blues out of the back room and moved them up front, there were 3 of the best leading the parade. They were all blowing cornets. One was Buddy Bolden, one was King Oliver, and the other was Gus Trudeau. There was a lot of music, but not much man. He picked me up on a union date on the south side of Chicago and taught me how to play. He got into me for a Boston 3-star cornet and gin for the rest of his life. When he got down to running errands for Dutch Courtney, I left for Kansas City. A couple of months later, Courtney needed a patsy, and Trudeau was it. He wound up with a 5-year stand at Leavenworth. But Gus never felt right unless he was in trouble. Only this time he cut me in for a piece, too. Well, I picked up a drink at the bar and fought my way back to the stand.
Anything wrong?
No. You finished the set?
One more to go. Sensation.
All right, let's do it.
What's wrong, Pete?
A friend of ours killed Dutch Courtney. All right, sensation. 1, 2. Let's get off for a while, huh?
Who'd you say killed Dutch Courtney?
Gus Trudeau.
And what, prayer? Trudeau's in jail.
No, not since this morning.
Which one of you is Kelly?
I am.
A friend of yours in town wants to see you right away.
Who is it?
He's waiting up at your room.
Did he give a name?
Just Gus.
An hour later, I was still looking for an out. The muscle man on the side door went to the bar a little after 2 a.m. Our bass man, Red, loaned me his keys, and I slipped out. I got on to 12th Street, picked up his Erskine coupe, and headed up for my room. All the way out Grand Avenue, the streetlights were spending the rest of New Year's alone. Some guys with wide brooms were pushing at the confetti, and the fog was loafing down in Washington Square. When I got to my place, I parked the car in back and headed up the stairs. The college kids down at the end of the hall had their door open. The party sounded young. I was looking for Gus when I opened the door, but he had a substitute. I knew her way back at 18th and Hall Street. She was pretty and the fastest freight in town. It must have been a long time ago, because somewhere along the line she'd run into a batch of Wednesday weekends and she wasn't pretty anymore.
Hello, Pete.
Where's your brother?
I don't know where Gus is. That's why I'm here. I knew you'd be the first one he'd come to.
Yeah. Now what about the break?
I was up to see him 2 weeks ago. He didn't say anything about it. Pete, we gotta help him.
I've been hearing that since I met him.
You're the only one who remembers, Pete. You're the only one who cares.
No, a lot of people care now. Eddie Newman wants him. The cops are looking hard.
I gotta find him before they do. You gotta help Pete.
He was supposed to meet me. That's all I know. I'll wait for him.
He needs a hand, Pete. He's in deep.
Yeah, well, he's always in deep. Now, you do what you want, Madge. I ran front for Gus too long. I'm out of the habit now.
Please.
Gus wants cover. He can look for a police station.
Gus can get away. Some money and a car, that's all he needs.
It's going to take more than that to get out. Every cop in town's working tonight.
Give him a chance, Pete. Help him.
No, thanks.
Gus has been good to you, Pete. He taught you music. He's been nothing but good to you.
I'm paid up. I bought his gin for him for 5 years.
Well, then do it for me. For what I used to be worth.
Now, Madge, it's old. That was 80 years ago. I can't help Gus.
Do it for me. I haven't changed that much.
I have.
You're still the same.
You've been working at it.
You remember.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same, Petey. It's just like the first time.
You never had a first time. How about a drink?
Will you help me, Pete? Find Gus. Get him out of town.
$10. As far as I go. $10.25. Now I'm getting off.
Where are you going?
Back to work. Tell Gus to take care of himself.
Hold it right there, Pete.
You stayed too long in Chicago, Madge.
I bought the gun in Kansas City. Don't go for the door.
You better give it to Gus. He may need it.
We're going to find him. You're going to help me.
All right, come on. Give me the gun, Madge.
If I shoot, it'll hurt.
Put it away, Madge. Come on, drop it.
Who is she?
We'll trade. Who are you?
Cage. I work downtown homicide. Who you got on the floor?
Madge Trudeau.
Tell me about her.
I knew her in Chicago. After that, I heard she did favors for Dutch Courtney. After that, I don't know.
She tired? What you doing there?
Looking for Gus Trudeau.
Oh. Where is Gus?
I don't know. I've been asked that twice tonight. Now, this is the third time around. I don't know.
You probably will.
Why? Why do I have to get into this?
Because you're Gus Trudeau's friend.
Well, then let him get another one. I'm tired of the job.
I don't blame you, fella. You're going to come out of this with a lot of trouble.
For instance?
I'll make it simple. If Gus Trudeau shows and you hide him, we'll book you for aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
If he shows and you turn him over to Newman, we'll send you up as accessory to murder.
Yeah.
If he shows you turn him over to us, Newman will probably kill you.
Well, that's good. In the meantime, what do you guys do for a living?
We're busy. We couldn't prove Newman killed you. It's after 2. Get back to that club.
And leave you here?
I got work to do.
Like what?
This woman. See if I can get anything out of her.
Yeah, it's been done before, but I'll bet 10-1 in your case.
Go on back. I'll tidy up here.
All right, good night, cop. Leave the rugs. I left Cage standing in the middle of the room looking down at Madge Trudeau. He didn't watch me leave, but I figured it wouldn't be too long before he turned that gleam back on me. I went back to 417, and I ran into our piano man, Rosie, outside in the alley, using a smoke for a chaser.
Happy holidays, Petey. How's Gus?
I didn't see him.
An odd hour of the morning, Petey, but I figure the fates are hard at work shaping up a few sordid futures.
Cut the piano, huh?
You've got a very limited selection.
What do you mean?
Before the general citizenry sits down to breakfast, you may get a reward, the eternal kind.
Come on, what is it?
I've got it all figured for the two of us, Petey. Today we'll spend our time dodging destinies. We'll hit for some small back room. I'll bring the bottled goods. We'll live on gin and sauerkraut and make the walls sit up and listen. One horn, one piano. The blues, Petey. We'll ride 'em into the middle of next year.
All right, throw the bottle away. Will you just set me straight, huh?
Across the river, there's 2 places, the High Life Club or Fat Annie's.
You sure he's there?
That's what the word is. I'll pass the hat down at the Union Hall for both of them.
Is Gus alone over there?
Right now, but there's going to be a crowd.
What do you mean?
I told you.
Yeah.
When Eddie Newman gets back, I got to tell him.
Well, I knew it was a silly move. Newman had 100 guns on tour for Gus. Cage and the boys from headquarters were standing by for seconds. Helping Gus Trudeau was out of order, but I couldn't get one thing out of my mind. If Gus did kill Courtney, why didn't he pick up some travel money before he did it? It was backwards. If you're going to hang up your pants, you take them off first. Well, it was about 3 a.m. when I got down to the river and crossed over to the Kansas side. The High Life Club was smoked up and had a little of everything except Gus Trudeau. I looked in the kitchen and tried a back room, and then I went to the bar to see if I could drum up some talk. I had one taker, a boy with wavy black hair. He got up from a table of 3 others, walked over and sat down next to me.
Well, how are you? Come in here often?
Well, this is the first time.
Welcome. I'll buy you a drink?
Well, I'm all set. You try one yourself.
I think drinking's all right, but I hate people to drink too much. Don't you?
You work here?
Well, not regular. Sometimes I dance when the other act doesn't show up. You here alone or you waiting for something?
I'm waiting. For a guy named Gus Trudeau.
You one of his friends?
I'm it. Where is he?
Well, he left a while ago. I'm not sure where he went.
Well, you get sure. It's important.
You mentioned someone named Bessie.
All right, hold it. What do you hear, Kelly? Get away, Newman. Try another stool. This will do.
Well, if he asked you to leave, I think you should leave.
Oh, well, a bar boy, that's nice.
Leave him alone.
Who is he?
I never saw him before.
What does he know about Trudeau?
Nothing.
Now, don't kid me. You're not here to spend the time of day. You're here for Trudeau. You little friend. Where's Gus Trudeau?
I don't have to talk to you. I'm a guest in this place.
You're not anymore. Climb down and head for that door, both of you.
You can't make us do that. We're not going to leave.
It's a split vote, Buster. I don't like the way he pushes.
That's right. Just walk. I'll bet you look good. I
knew right then as we walked across the floor. I knew Eddie Newman wasn't going to leave him alone. He was going to pick at him, whether he knew anything about Gus Trudeau or not. It was going to get messy, and the boy with the nice eyes was going to help. Outside it wasn't snowing anymore, but the ground was covered right down to the river. There was a moon out, and it looked all right if you like nature. We walked over toward a bunch of trees. Newman's car was parked there. It was a black touring sedan with a strong-arm guy in the back seat. There was another one sitting on the running board. He had a machine gun across his lap.
This'll do. All right, now let's hear about Gus Trudeau.
I don't know anything about him. This man and I were just talking.
Go easy, Newman. I never saw him before.
Did you always talk to strangers or Betty does?
It's none of your business.
Where's Gus Trudeau?
I wouldn't tell you. Suppose I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
Yes, you would.
You keep your hands off of me.
Stop pressing, Newman. You don't care about Trudeau now. You just don't like this guy.
Stay out, Kelly. Come here.
Hey, let go. Let go.
Stop screeching. I'll break your arm.
You keep your hands off of you. You pig, you dirty pig.
You're in trouble, fella. Shut up.
Well, he is a pig. His hands are all dirty and his teeth are dirty. I bet even his clothes are dirty, all of them.
Now lay there. All right, Dave, move in here. Back away, Kelly. You're up, choir boy.
No. Please, mister, do something. Don't let a thing like this happen.
It already has, Buster.
No, you can't.
Tell me, Newman, did you ever find out about Gus Trudeau? Newman didn't answer. He climbed into the car and they drove off. Well, I stayed there for a minute to look at the guy in the snow. His face was unmarked. I did him a favor. I rolled him over so it showed in the moonlight. I knew his mother'd want him to look real good the night Eddie Newman's chopper squad cut him down. Well, it was getting cold out, and the name Bessie had to mean Fat Annie's place up the river on the Kansas side. I made it there and found Bessie. She was back at the piano, wandering around somewhere in the middle of the blues. You couldn't miss that voice if she took up yodeling. Bessie Smith.
I've got those Kansas City blues since my man has gone away. Hi, Pete.
Bessie, what do you know?
Round the back, Pete. You go up the stairs, the loft, way up there at the top.
All right, thanks, Bessie.
All right.
I felt my way out and around back and up a couple of flights of stairs that didn't creak in time with the music. There was a door at the top, and I pushed it open. He was hunched back on a pile of hay in the corner. He sat up and blinked a couple of times. There wasn't much left, just the frame. And rattling around inside, a lot of tired echoes that wouldn't lay down and die. There was an empty gin bottle on the floor.
Petey, I knew you'd get here.
Yeah, well, they didn't make it easy.
You're looking good, Petey. Everything's 6-2 and even, huh?
You forget easy, Gus. You're in a jam. You broke jail.
Yeah, I told him all about you up there, Petey. I told him there's another Gus Trudeau blowing down to Kansas City. I'm proud of you, Pete.
Yeah, sure, Gus.
You're just like me, Pete. I told him all about you. You're the only good thing I ever done. I knew you'd come through. A car and some money, Pete, it'll do everything. It'll make it all new. Is it too much to ask? You tell me, Pete.
They want you for Dutch Courtney.
You know better, Pete. I didn't kill Dutch.
You had a reason.
Did I? Forget.
He hung a frame on you, Gus. 5 years worth, remember?
I didn't kill Dutch. Get me a drink, huh, boy?
No, not tonight.
Don't preach at me. Just something to help me over.
Oh, yeah. Now, come out of the fog, Gus. You're going to get a drink or a train ticket from me. You take your pick, because it's the last time around.
Just listen to that. Bessie's still going strong, ain't she?
Yeah, and so are the cops. I got one idea for you, Gus. Get moving.
You remember Chicago, Petey? You and Madge. Chicago always liked me.
You checked out, Gus. Biderbeck's got your chair.
They'll remember me and you, Petey. I found you when you were nothing.
What are you going to do? Where you going?
I got it all set up. It's big and brand new. A place in Mexico.
Yeah?
The guy who bunked in my cell with me, his mother runs a place down there. It's just like it used to be.
Yeah, well, you won't get there on a gin bottle.
I got it set up, boy. Car and some money. It's not much to ask. You haven't got a drink, have you?
You can drink in Mexico. Where you dreaming up the car and the dough?
It's fixed, boy. You just see this guy and tell him I'm ready. Abe Gaffney. He's got a place on Pershing Road. You know it?
Yeah, I know it. Abe's doing all this?
Just tell him I'm ready.
All right.
How's Madge, Pete?
She's all right.
Come and see me, huh, Pete? It's hot in Mexico.
It gets hot here.
What's the matter, Pete? You ain't sore, are you?
No, I ain't sore. I'm just tired. I'll tell Gaffney that I'm checking out. Goodbye, Gus.
You're not getting too big for your old friends, are you, boy?
Friends are like everything else, Gus.
Yeah?
They wear out on you. Well, it wasn't any different than a dozen times before. I knew there wasn't very much left, but I wasn't looking for a second-rate ghost with an empty gin bottle. I crossed the river back to the Missouri side and headed down Main Street and then swung over toward Abe Gaffney's place on Pershing Road. It was pushing close to 5:30 a.m. The sun wasn't up yet, and the night was too tired to care. I pulled up in front of the Murad sign in front of Gaffney's. Inside, a counterman with pimples and coffee was leaning on last night's paper. A beaded curtain shut off the hallway that led back to Gaffney's room.
You want some?
Yeah, Gaffney.
Not here.
Where do I find him?
I don't.
I was supposed to meet him here.
If so?
Look, this is Gaffney's place. Where is he?
I told you.
Now listen, Junior, maybe you think you do a good imitation of Calvin Coolidge, but I want an answer. Where's Gaffney?
What's your name?
Kelly.
You could have saved an argument. This way. Through here.
When do you go to bed, Kelly?
You still looking, Newman?
I'm still asking. Where's Gus?
I don't think you'd give me time to answer.
There's a good reason why I let you walk away tonight. I gave you 2 hours all by yourself on the Kansas side. I don't think you threw him away. You got a line on Gus Trudeau. I want it.
I got nothing for you.
But don't be silly, Pete. The cops get him or I do. He goes either way.
You get no help from me.
I don't want no help. I want Gus. Now, come on! Come on. I'll make you part of the wallpaper.
You better send for Dave.
I don't need him.
I think you do. Now, don't bother to get up. I'm leaving.
I don't believe it. Wasn't your turn, Kelly.
When I got up off the floor, the room was cold and the lights were out. Newman was gone, but I knew he was still in business. I knew if he didn't find Gus Trudeau this trip, he'd come back for me. I got into Red's car and followed the radiator cap back to 417. I found Rosie back at the stand having breakfast.
Did you bring an egg, Petey? I hate to drink on an empty stomach.
Newman been back here?
I haven't noticed. You look abused.
Yeah. Anybody say anything?
You were missed. I heard the news.
What's that?
They found the guy who got Dutch Courtney, a fellow by the name of Doyle, East St. Louis. Cops got the goods on him, gun, fingerprints, the works.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long night. What was his beef with Dutch?
Doyle owned East St. Louis. Dutch wouldn't believe it.
Leave it to Gus. If there's a hole, he'll fall in it.
Makes it easier on him now, doesn't it? Newman will call his boys off now?
Well, somebody better tell him in a hurry.
Did you see Gus?
Yeah, I saw him. He's trying to get out of town.
Pete Kelly?
Yeah, that's right.
Abe Gaffney, Pete.
Well, you're a hard man to find.
Newman came in the front door. I went out the back. This won't take long. Car keys, money for Gus.
No, you got the wrong guy, Abe. I quit an hour ago.
Fight it out with yourself. The car's out in the alley. It's in great jam. And tell Gus it needs gas.
Well, wait a minute. You can take this stuff to Gus. You know where he is.
No, thanks. You take care of Gus. He's an old friend.
What's the matter with you?
I hardly knew him.
The clock over the bar was leaning on 6:15. We got back on the stand and started the last set. 80 pounds of stale cigarette smoke was holding up the ceiling and waving down on a dirty blue curtain over the dance floor. Behind the bar, one of the guys was wiping up. Two couples picked their way to the dance floor and pushed each other around a while. And they finally gave up. Oh, the whole thing. It was all out of step. Wrinkled stockings, brown gardenias, torn paper hats, and Gus Trudeau. He walked in the door and stood off to one side, just back of the stand. All right, it's the last one. Blues and B flat. that's it. Same call tonight, 10 o'clock. You can pack up.
Hey, Pete. Petey, over here. I heard you. You sound good, Pete. It's just what I told him up there. You're on your way, boy.
All right, now you heard it, Gus. I got the money for you and the car keys. I'll see you, Gus, huh?
You know what I told him? Another Gus Trudeau's blowing down, and can't you see it?
Yeah.
I only got one thing to tell you, Pete. Don't forget it. Play like you talk. Don't lie.
Happy New Year, Gus.
Oh, hi, Madge.
Hold it there, Pete. This is a family fight. Stay out.
I thought I took that gun away from you.
What's the matter, Madge? What are you doing?
No, don't tell me that talk, Gus. Dutch can't hear you.
What do you mean, Madge?
You killed him. You blew your top and you killed him, just like you did everything else for me. You and the gin and that cheap brass horn of yours. You spent us all, Pete and me, and you ran through the whole bunch till you got to Dutch.
Pete, I didn't do anything.
You killed Dutch Courtney. I loved him. I loved him enough to square it.
No, you got it all wrong, Madge.
Goodbye, Gus. I'll tell him to throw your horn in after you.
Want to read the paper, Madge? You killed the wrong brother.
Stay away, Pete.
It's in the paper, Madge. Guy by the name of Doyle. He killed Dutch.
They're not sure, are they?
Yeah, they're sure.
Oh, what'll I do?
I got two things for you, Madge. And the car keys. And you see what you can do with 10 minutes start.
You didn't have anything more for Gus, did you, Pete?
No, I guess not.
Well, he made it.
Yeah, Gus finally got out of town.
Starring Jack Webb, was story by Jim Mosier, music by Dick Cathcart. Scoring by Matty Matlock. Pete Kelly's Blues is based on characters created by Richard L. Breen.
This is NBC, the national broadcast.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette with premium quality throughout in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. You get a call from another city to pick up a burglary suspect. You know the name he's using. You know where he's living. Your job, pick him up. When you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it and who smoke it all the time. For almost a year now, a medical specialist has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months. He reports no adverse effects to their noses, their throats, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. You'll find Chesterfield much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:42 a.m. when we got to the corner of Selma and Fountain. The Arizona Carlton Hotel.
Guess we check over there, huh?
Yeah. You got the mugs?
Yeah, right here.
I'm awfully sorry, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, I know we say each room is air-conditioned. Well, yes, ma'am, but it is true. I know, ma'am, but the air conditioning is on full now. All right, ma'am. Yes, I'll send some right up. I'll be with you right away. Front, here, boy. Get some ice water up to Mrs. Hartfield in 502 right away. No, sorry to keep you waiting.
It's all right, sir.
What is it you wanted?
We're police officers, sir. Here's our identification.
There's nothing wrong, is there? Don't know what I'd do if anything else went wrong. The air conditioning unit went out this morning, making excuses. I don't know how much longer the ice water's going to hold out. What is it? What's wrong now?
Do you have a Mr. George Richmond registered here?
Probably gives his home address in the desto.
Richmond. Let's see here. Wait a minute.
Sure.
How do I know you're what you say? Police department's always sending out circulars saying to be careful about this sort of thing. It's a respectable hotel, you know. How do I know?
Well, here's our identification again, sir. I showed it to you before.
Oh, Friday. How about yours?
Yeah, here you are, sir.
All right. Can't be too careful. Your own office says that, you know. Careful. Anybody can come in here with a badge.
Yes, sir. Now, if you'd just check the register for us, please.
Yeah, sure thing. Oh, yes, sir. Here he is. Richmond George, Modesto, California.
Is he here now?
No, checked out day before yesterday. Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Registration desk. Yes, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am, I know that's what we advertise. Well, yes, ma'am, but it's on the way up. No, ma'am, I sent the boy myself. Yes, ma'am. I'm sure he'll be there. All right, Mrs. Hartfield. Yes, ma'am. I may quit. Now, what was it you wanted with Mr. Richmond?
Well, you said that he moved out, huh?
Yes, bag and baggage day before yesterday.
You leave any forwarding address?
No, I talked to him when he left. Didn't say a word about where he was going.
Was there anyone in the hotel he was especially friendly with? Anybody who might know where we can reach him?
No, kind of kept to himself. Nice fella. Sure tipped good. Kept to himself, though.
Is there anyone around the place who might know where he was going? Bellboys, maybe the waitress in the coffee shop?
Oh, no, I hardly think so. He didn't eat here. Don't blame him.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Here's our card. If you hear anything from Mr. Richmond, we'd sure appreciate a call.
You bet. I'll give you a ring.
You get any mail while he was staying here?
No, nothing. Not even a phone call. Didn't use the room for anything but to sleep. Real quiet. Good tipper, though.
Did he drive a car, do you know?
No, not that I know of. Say, come to think of it, you might check with Ernie.
Ernie?
Yeah, he drives a cab, usually right out in front. He picked up Mr. Richmond one night. He might be able to tell you something.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. If anything comes up, appreciate that call.
Okay. Hope you get what you're looking for. Registration desk. Yes, Mrs. Hartfield.
Let's go, Frank.
Right.
I know, ma'am, but the ice water's on the way up. I can't understand why it isn't there, but I am the manager.
Fellow out there might be him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah?
Your name, Ernie?
That's right. What can I do for you?
Police officers. We'd like some information.
Well, I got a permit to park here.
No, it's not that. We'd like to know if you remember picking up a George Richmond here.
Oh. Richmond, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Richmond. No, name doesn't make any bells ring. What's the guy look like?
You got those mug shots, Frank?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
You a cop, too?
Yes, sir. I'm an officer.
Yeah. You kind of look like one. Is this the guy?
Yes, sir, that's him. You remember picking him up?
Yeah, seems I've seen him before. Yeah. Good tipper. Yeah, I picked him up, let's see, a couple days ago. Drove him downtown. Sure, downtown.
Remember where you took him?
Gee, it was a couple days ago, like I said.
Yes, sir.
I haven't got the slightest idea.
10:07 a.m. We continued to talk to the cab driver. He was sure that he'd picked up George Richmond on Sunday night, but he was unable to tell us where he'd taken the suspect. We drove back downtown and checked with the cab company. On the driver's waybill, we found that he'd made 3 pickups that night from the hotel on Fountain Avenue. The first stop listed was a large cafeteria in downtown Los Angeles. We checked with the cashier. She was unable to identify the mugshots of Richmond. The second stop was a large apartment out on Wilshire Boulevard. We checked the manager of the place, and she told us that she didn't recognize the name. We showed her the mugshots of Richmond, and she said that she thought she'd seen the man 2 weeks before. When she asked him what he wanted, he said that he was looking for a Miss Norman. Because of the way he'd acted, the landlady hadn't told him that there was a tenant by that name living in the place. She gave us the apartment number of the Norman woman, and Frank and I went up to see her. Want to try it again?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Police officers.
What?
Police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute. And what's this all about?
Miss Margaret Norman?
Yeah, that's right. What do you want with me?
Or if we could come in, please. Be a little better than talking out here in the hall.
Yeah, I guess so. Come in.
Thank you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi.
You alone here, Miss Norman?
Yeah, I just got up. Have to excuse the way the place looks. Kind of messy.
Yes, ma'am.
Mind if I put on some coffee? I'm not going to be able to answer any questions before I have a cup of coffee.
You go right ahead, ma'am.
What is it you want to see me about?
You know a man named Richmond?
Richmond?
Yes, ma'am. George Richmond.
Why'd you ask that? What's he done?
We'd just like to know if you know him, do you?
Yeah, I know. What do you guys want him for?
We'd like to talk to him, Miss Norman.
Uh-huh. Don't want to tell me what it's about, huh?
Well, it'll be better if we talk to him.
Yeah. Either one of you got a cigarette?
Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
Match?
Thanks. You know, there's no love lost between me and George.
Is that right?
You bet there isn't, lousy bummer. Get a drugstore cowboy. Takes a girl out for dinner one lousy night, and a cheap dinner. Figures he owns her.
You know where he is now?
I haven't got the slightest idea. If I did know, I'd sure tell you. Bet I would. I'd like to see him get his way he treated me.
You know any of his friends? Anyone who might know where he is?
I don't think he's got a friend. At least I never met any of them.
Does he drive a car, do you know?
No, not him. Always took a cab. Used to kill me. Anywhere we went, he'd take a cab. One lousy block, and he took a cab. Liked to be a sport. Always tipping big. Regular drugstore cowboy.
Mm-hmm. When did you see him last?
Must have been a couple of weeks ago. That much, anyway. Last time I saw him. Don't care if I never see him again the way he acted. I thought he was going to kill me.
Ma'am?
Went out to dinner, and we got back here. He'd been drinking a lot. Got real nasty. I told him he better be going. You know, it was late and all.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, like I said, it was late, and he got real nasty. Started yelling at me. Called me all sorts of things. I'm not going to let any man say things like that to me, so I told him to get out. I'd never want to see him again. One lousy dinner, and he thought he owned me.
Mm-hmm. Will you go ahead, Miss Norman?
He hauled off and hit me. Right there in the hall. Hit me as hard as he could. Almost broke my jaw. Well, you know, I let out a scream, and he beat it. Caused such a commotion, I had to move.
Then this didn't happen here, is it?
No, a place over on Vermont. I moved the next day.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet Richmond?
At the club. Say, you got another cigarette?
Yeah. There you are.
Match?
Thanks.
What club's that, ma'am?
Where I work. In Green Lantern, downtown. I'm the cigarette girl. I met him there. He came in one night. Acted real big. Asked me if I'd have dinner with him. As it happened, I didn't have an engagement that night, so I said yes. Well, we kind of went together for a while.
I see.
Sure hope you get him. A real bad guy. The way he treats women. Terrible. He said, wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I know someone who might be able to tell you where he is.
Who's that, ma'am?
A fellow named Hank. Used to hang around the club. I saw George talk to him at the bar once in a while.
Well, do you know where we can find this fella, Hank?
No, but I can tell you where his girlfriend lives. That help?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Place over on 3rd out near Fairfax.
Do you know his full name, ma'am?
Gee, I gotta think about that. Let's see. Jeanette, that's the girl. Jeanette introduced him as Palmer. That's it, Hank Palmer. I don't know about him, though.
What's that, Miss Norman?
He's a real mean one. Kind of quiet, not like George. George likes to shoot his mouth off, but Hank is quiet. He's trouble, though.
Ma'am?
Well, one night we went up to Jeanette's for a couple of drinks. Hank took off his coat. That's why I say he's rough.
Yeah.
Sure. Carries a gun.
1:45 p.m. We got the description of Hank Palmer, and then Frank and I drove back to the city hall. We ran the name and description through R&I, but we got no make. We sent the name to George Brereton, CII, up at Sacramento. We got communication off to Washington, asking them for information on Palmer. We also checked the name of Palmer's girlfriend through our records, but we got no information. We contacted Captain Steed and arranged for a stakeout to be placed on the apartment of Palmer's girlfriend, Jeanette Allen. 2 days went by. Palmer and Richmond failed to make an appearance. We talked to Jeanette Allen, but she couldn't supply us with any information as to the whereabouts of the two men. Descriptions of the men were broadcast. Informants were questioned. We contacted the Modesto Police Department, and they sent us all information on the places Richmond was known to frequent while he was in Los Angeles. The kickback from Sacramento and Washington gave us no new information on Richmond, but Washington had him listed as having 2 arrests for armed robbery and ADW in the East. Another week passed. The stakeouts on Jeanette Allen's apartment continued. No sign of either of the men. Sergeant Al Panoges of the Bunko Fugitive Detail worked with us in trying to trace their movements. On Saturday, June 15th, we got word from an informant that Bickman and Palmer had been seen in town. We checked with the stakeout at the apartment, but they'd seen nothing of the two men. Frank, Al Panoges, and I drove out to relieve the stakeout.
Hey, Panoge.
Yeah, Frank.
Sure hot in this room, isn't it? Air's just laying there.
Yeah. Paper says it's the hottest June 15th on record.
Is that Miss Allen?
Yes, Sergeant?
Now, you haven't heard from Palmer at all since he got back, is that it?
No, not a word. I don't really believe he's in town. I'm sure if he was, he'd look me up. Never done this before.
Uh-huh.
Say, would it be all right if I got a glass of water, miss?
Sure, help yourself right out in the kitchen.
Thanks. How about you, Joe? Want some?
No, thanks.
Al?
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah?
Cab's stopping out in front. Man getting out. Might be one of them. Guy's wearing an overcoat.
On a day like this?
You coming in here, Al?
Yeah. Yeah, cab's pulling away.
Okay. You want to take that side of the door, Frank?
Right.
You better go into the bedroom, Miss Allen.
You think there's going to be some trouble?
Well, it depends on the way he wants it.
Oh, well, I guess you know best. I hope not. All I need is to have to move again.
Somebody in the hall. He's stopping. All set?
Right.
Who are you? You Hank Palmer? Yeah, so what?
Police officers.
Lousy cop!
Joe, he's got a gun. I'll get him. All right, hold it up, Palmer. Stop or I'll fire.
Get away from me, cop!
Hold it up, Palmer.
All right. Come on, pull out of here. Come on, go!
Get in the call, Frank. Gray Mercury. License number's 1S69105.
Right. Better call an ambulance, too.
What?
Panoges. He's hurt bad.
June 15th, 8:40 p.m. Sergeant Al Panoges was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. His condition was listed as critical. The bullet had entered his chest and was still embedded below the left lung. His family was notified, and after Frank and I got out the APB on Palmer, we drove by to pick up Mrs. Panoges. We dropped her off at the hospital, and Frank stayed with her. Palmer's description was put out, as was the description of the car he'd commandeered to get away. I ran the number through our DMV and found that it was registered to a William Evans, 1627 East Poinsettia, Hollywood. Along with Sergeant Ullery, I checked out the address. Mrs. Evans told us that she hadn't seen her husband for several hours, but when he left the house, he had told her that he was going to a lodge meeting. We got a description of him and got out a local and an APB on him. I called the hospital and found that they'd operated on Panoges, but that they were unable to remove the bullet. His wife collapsed. Frank had her taken home where she was cared for by their family doctor. 12:46 a.m. A radio car out in Chatsworth picked up Evans. He told them that Palmer had forced him at gunpoint to drive him to the valley. There he'd forced Evans from the car and driven off. Evans couldn't give the officers any idea of where the suspect might have been headed. 2 hours later, the car was found abandoned on Spring Street. It was placed under surveillance, and a dragnet of the downtown area was started. Metro Division assigned 20 teams of men to make a block-by-block search of the vicinity. The details at the bus stations and at the airports were alerted. 4:12 a.m. I got a call from Frank, and I drove over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Hi. How's it going?
Not good. Just saw the doctor.
Well, how's Al?
He just died.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is the first cigarette to offer smokers premium quality in both regular and king size. King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
When an officer is first accepted by the police force, he spends 13 weeks at the police academy. In that period, he learns the basic fundamentals of being a peace officer. On graduation from the academy, he is assigned either to traffic or to a tour of duty in one of the city jails. Then, depending on his aptitude and the way he conducts himself in the field, he's checked on for possible transfer to one of the detective divisions as an investigator. By the time a police officer gets his assignment to the detective bureau, he's become a professional troubleshooter. He knows how to handle himself, and he knows how to treat the lawbreaker. He's on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he wears a gun. When a hoodlum shoots a police officer, he's showing society that he has no regard for the law, and at the same time, he is announcing that he will not hesitate to kill an unarmed citizen. Sergeant Alfred Pinoges had been a policeman 14 years. He'd begun in traffic, and then had been transferred to the juvenile division. From there, he went to homicide detail, and then to bunco fugitive division. He was a professional peace officer, and he'd been murdered. He gave his life to protect the people who paid his salary, the taxpayers. His killer was still at large, and we had to find him. The search of the downtown area was intensified, but it netted us nothing. Frank and I checked the immediate area around the abandoned car. In talking to the people in the vicinity, we found a newsboy who had seen Palmer park the car. He said he was unable to tell us where the man had gone, but he said that he thought he might have gone into a bar near the corner. We checked the place, but the bartender was unable to give us any information. 2 days passed. We rechecked the known hangouts of the two men. Neither of them had been seen. Tuesday, June 18th, we got word that Palmer had been seen entering an apartment house on South Alvarado. 10:14 a.m. Frank and I drove over to talk to the landlady.
Palmer and Richmond. No, I don't think I know them.
Why don't you take a look at these pictures, Mrs. Holbrook, see if you recognize them?
Sure.
There you are.
He's a mean one. Haven't seen him, though. This one.
Ma'am?
This one. I know him. Which one's he?
Well, that's Richmond.
No, that's not his name. Told me it was Reichman. Said it was John Reichman. Lived up in 206 Atson Front.
Is he in now, ma'am?
No, he went out this morning early. First time in a couple of days he went out early.
You expect him back soon?
Oh, I don't know right off. Might be. I don't generally know when they're coming back. Don't keep tabs on them, you know.
Them?
Yeah, tenants. A nice bunch, most of them quiet. Had a full place last 2 years.
Uh-huh. How long is this, Reichman?
Yeah, that's it, John Reichman.
How long's he been here?
Oh, he's kind of new. He took over the room from a friend of his.
Yes, ma'am. Does he have any friends in the building? Anyone that he sees quite a bit of?
Well, now, there's a girl in 306. He sees quite a bit of her.
Oh, who's that, Miss Holbrook?
That'd be Barbara McIntyre. Nice girl. Dancer. Works downtown at one of the clubs.
She in now, would you know?
Well, she should be, yes. Hardly ever gets up much before noon. Hardly ever. She works late, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Does Richmond drive a car?
Richmond? Oh, dear, now. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Seems like he's always coming home in a cab. Comes in at all hours. I don't think he's going to last here.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
Because I don't think he will, that's all. Plays the radio late, makes noise, you know. Then there was a fight. The girl didn't want to do anything about it, but I certainly think she should have.
Oh, what's that about, ma'am?
Oh, one night, let's see, it must have been about a week ago. Reichman or Richmond or whatever his name is came home, and he was, well, he'd been drinking quite a bit, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he went up to the girl's apartment, and they had an awful brawl. Screaming and yelling, an awful brawl. I went up and asked her if there was something I could do, but she yelled through the door and said no, that everything was all right. Of course, it wasn't.
Ma'am?
Well, the next day, the poor thing had a black eye that just wouldn't stop, all bruised up. Had a bandage right here in her forehead. Must have hit her awful hard. No, sir, I don't think he's going to last.
Uh-huh. And you're pretty sure that you haven't seen this other man, though, are you?
Well, let me see that picture again.
Mm-hmm. This one?
No, I'm positive. I never saw him. Of course, that don't mean he wasn't here.
Ma'am?
Well, like I said, I don't pay much attention to them. They pay their rent, and I don't bother them. They come and go as they please. Say, what do you want them for? Is it about that, Mr.
Richmond?
Yeah, is it about him beating up that poor girl?
No, ma'am.
I should have known about him. No, sir, he ain't going to last long around here.
I wonder if we could see his room, Mrs. Holbrook.
Well, I guess it's all right. I'll get the key.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Here you are. It's right up the stairs and then to the front of the hall. It's on the right at the far end of the hall.
Well, we'd rather you'd come up with us, ma'am.
Oh, well, all right. Glad to help. The way he must have beat that girl, a fiend, that's what he is. Sure isn't going to last long around here.
No, ma'am, he sure isn't. Before we looked at Richmond's apartment, we tried to check with his girlfriend. We found that she wasn't in. The manager let us into her apartment, but we found no indication where she might have gone. Then we went downstairs and searched Richmond's place. He wasn't there. The landlady stood by while we searched the place. In a closet, we found a small arsenal, a gas grenade, a sawed-off shotgun, and 2 boxes of shells. There were also several revolvers, along with over 150 rounds of ammunition. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on the building. Sergeants Ullery, Gerard, Gilmore, and Miller came out. Gerard and Gilmore covered the front entrance. Ullery and Miller were stationed at the back of the building, and Frank and I covered Richmond's room. The residents of the apartment were warned to stay inside their rooms and to keep their doors locked. 10:30 p.m. There was still no sign of the suspects. We waited. 11 o'clock, 11:15, midnight.
Joe?
Yeah?
Looks like it might be them. Cab pulling up in front.
How about Gerard and Gilmore?
No, can't see him from here. Yeah. Looks like Palmer and Richmond. He got the girl with him.
Where is she?
She's walking between them. Makes it tough, huh?
Yeah. Well, I won't try to take him on the street this way.
They're coming in the building.
Uh-huh.
They should be here pretty quick.
Figures if they're coming here.
Upstairs. Girl's apartment, huh?
Sounds like it. Wonder if they went in with her.
We'll just have to wait.
Wait a minute. Somebody outside there in the hall.
Yeah.
Hold it.
I don't feel right, I tell you. It's too quiet. Something's up.
All right, mister, let's hold it.
Cops, George, beat it!
Oh, all right, give it up, Palmer.
They made the street. Gilmore and Gerard should get him. Get that car, Joe. Let's go.
Looks like they're in that store.
You want to cover me while I try to get over there?
All right, take it easy.
Right.
You all right, Frank?
Right.
All right, I'm coming over.
I'll cover you.
You see Gilmore and Gerard?
Yeah, they're behind the Buick over there.
Come on out of there. Richmond, Palmer, come on. Throw the guns out.
You come in and take us, cop.
Give it up, Richmond. You're at a dead end. There's no way out of there.
And we'll make one.
They're coming out, Joe.
Okay, I quit. You got Richmond, I quit. Now don't shoot anymore. Please don't shoot anymore. You won't shoot anymore, will you please?
Throw that gun out here. Come on.
All right. Here it is. I'm throwing it out. Now don't shoot anymore, please.
Got it.
All right, I'll check Richmond.
All right.
I haven't got any gun. I gave it to you. I'm hurt. Can't you see that I'm hurt bad?
I told Gilmore to call the ambulance. Richmond's dead. How about this one?
Well, he's hit. I don't know how bad.
I should have known not to kill a cop. I would have been like this if I didn't kill that cop. I didn't mean to. I got scared. That's all, scared. You can understand that, can't you?
Yeah, you want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah.
Watch it, Frank. He's got another gun. You all right?
Yeah.
Palmer? Palmer.
I'll check him.
How about it?
He's dead. Look here, Joe.
What's that?
Had these in his pockets.
Must be 50 or 60 rounds of ammunition there.
Yeah. Doesn't look like he was ready to quit.
He was ready.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent. On July 26th, an inquest was held in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, every day more and more people are changing to Chesterfield and finding Chesterfield is best for them. One reason for this is premium quality. Chesterfield is first to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Another reason, Chesterfield gives you this scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfield. I smoke an average of 2 packs a day, and I'm convinced Chesterfield is best for me. Try 'em, regular or king size. I think you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
At the coroner's inquest, it was found that the deaths of George Thomas Richmond and Henry Donald Palmer were justifiable homicide. It was found that they were armed and were killed while resisting arrest. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Joyce McCluskey, Paul Richards. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfield much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever and whenever people need help, the Red Cross answers the call. When a flood-stricken family needs shelter, when a crippled child must learn to walk and play, and when a wounded soldier needs blood, the Red Cross is always there. Now, the Red Cross needs your help. To keep up their many services this year, $93 million is needed. So, when the Red Cross volunteer calls on you, please answer the call and give generously.
I get 10 a day and expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, the Lion's Eye, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the Pilgrim's Progress.
Cosmopolitan Building, 7th Street near Olive, downtown L.A. A mess of granite thrown together by an architect who must have taken his degree on the rock pile of Leavenworth. It's up on the 3rd floor, room 308, right next to a credit dentist who shares his office with a collection agency. On the other side, there's a school for models, and the Lion's got sore eyes trying to see through that cloudy glass. International Detective Bureau, Anthony J. Lyon, President. He's also vice president, secretary, treasurer. I work for him. Well, the office isn't much, but there's enough elbow room for a client to write a check. I went to the office Friday night about 5:20 answering the Lion's call. He was sitting behind the desk sucking on a quarter cigar. He looked real pleased, like a fat lady locked in a cream puff factory.
Man I know had a baby. Plumber named Broman or Groman or something like that.
Mazel tov.
Cancel any arrangements you got for the night. I got something for you to do. Got your car?
It's in the lot.
Gas it up. You're taking a trip.
Where to?
Calabasas. A man wants to see you.
I got no friends out there.
Friend of mine named Hendricks. He counts his money with an adding machine, and his finger's always swollen.
What's the problem?
I don't know. He didn't say. He just called and told me to send out a man.
How much did he give you for a retainer?
When an important man like Hendricks calls, you don't insult him by asking for money.
Oh, stop it, will you? You're the kind of guy who'd steal pennies out of parking meters.
That's enough, Regan.
If one of them turned up empty, you'd sue the city.
Here's the Hendricks address. Now get out there.
All right.
Regan.
Yeah?
Remember, do a good job, and I'll give you Thanksgiving off, and I'll pay you.
With what, cranberries?
headed out Beverly and then up through Hollywood. You know, it's only November, but Santa Claus is breaking out all over the boulevard. I fought my way over Cahuenga Pass, and by the time I was dodging station wagons on Ventura, it was dark. Calabasas is a place with a couple of service stations, a hot dog stand, and a few road signs full of buckshot. The Hendricks place turned out to be about 5 miles down a road that the Indians built for hauling firewater. I guess they couldn't keep the cork in. But the house itself was strictly prohibition stuff. A big pile of slate roof and leaded windows. It was dark and lonesome. I figured somebody had their holidays mixed.
Hiya, Pilgrim!
He was a big fat guy. He was holding a 6-foot gun in the shape of a straightened-out tuba. He came closer, and I could see his hat. It was a high one with a buckle on it. He was dressed in black, and he had buckles all over him. I figured that I'd been eating too much Quaker Oats.
What's the matter, Pilgrim? A little shooting make you nervous?
That's a big gun there.
Shoots musket balls. Good for Indians.
Well, I'm no Indian.
Oh, I wasn't aiming at you.
Well, that gun wouldn't know the difference.
It's a blunderbuss. Great weapon.
Is it?
I'll show you. So you prop it up on a crutch.
Just be fooling with that thing, and we'll both need one.
Now, let's be quiet there. Load the barrel. Lots of powder.
Look, why don't you give that thing back to the museum?
He does it. More powder. Gotta use lots of this black powder.
Well, sure, you need black coffee. Come on, give me that thing before it blows up in your face. You broke a window.
Oh, it's all right. It was only the attic.
You live here?
Of course not, Pilgrim. I'm Miles Standish.
Well, where's the rest of the party?
All inside, talking to John Olden.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you just think I'm kidding, don't you? Pilgrim, you just haven't got the Mayflower spirit.
No, you drank it all.
It's just cider. Nothing better on a cold New England night.
Thanksgiving's not for a week. Come on, get off it.
Hark.
What's the matter? Put that down.
I'm not going to shoot him. He's a friendly type.
Brother Regan?
Yeah?
If thou wilt follow me, please.
Oh, you too, huh?
I beg your pardon?
Okay.
Well, so long, Pilgrim.
Yeah, keep your powder dry, Standy.
I'll see you on Plymouth Rock.
Okay, this way, Brother Regan.
Now, look, Sunshine, you work here.
My name is Phelps.
Why don't you lock that guy up?
I'd be outnumbered, sir. 21, Pilgrim.
Bad winter. They make you wear those corduroy knickers?
Knee breeches, sir. It was Priscilla's idea.
You need a union.
Need more shapely legs. Through here.
Now, it's quite a place you got.
Well, it's better without the decorations, sir.
Yeah. How do you keep from stepping on these pumpkins?
It's only when they use them for bowling that it's difficult.
Come on, fill me in. What's this all about?
Thanksgiving, sir. 1621. Okay, this room here, sir. Go right in.
Okay.
Shut the door. Shut it.
Mr. Hendricks around?
He's not here. Come over, sit down.
Who are you, Priscilla?
Please don't say another word of that silly rigmarole or I'll start screaming.
Yeah, well, I could use a little yell myself.
I'm Agnes. I'm Mrs. Hendricks. Or Agnes.
It doesn't make any difference.
Does to my friends. Didn't I say sit down?
Yes, you did, and I didn't. So you don't like the party, huh?
I'm not much of a Puritan, Mr. Regan.
Well, that Great Dane says the masquerade was your idea.
Phelps is stupid. This goes on all weekend, Mr. Regan. It's called a turkey shoot.
Yeah, so that's it. Who gets the bird?
The Pilgrim fathers. My husband's friends. They ought to be shot, every one of them.
Yeah, well, I'm not from the SPCA.
Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Regan. I like you.
That's not the point.
I won't bore you.
Your husband might.
Him. He's crazy, Mr. Regan. Crazy as the things he does. Shooting, drinking, spending money.
A hard life.
I don't know how I stood it for as long as I have. My lawyer says I'm the most patient woman in the world.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the conversation, Miss Hendricks.
Why did my husband send for you?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You do know. Tell me.
I don't know.
Please. You don't realize what kind of a man my husband can be.
I never met him.
You don't know how much I need help. How lonely I am.
Well, where is he?
Tell you if you promise to come back to me.
No, I'll write you a letter.
He's out in the shed, other side of the patio.
Thanks.
I wouldn't act this way if I weren't so frightened. You don't know what it is to be frightened all the time.
No, but I'm learning.
I wish you'd stick around, Mr. Regan.
Well, thanks, Mrs. Hendricks, but the pin feathers are a little sharp. Mrs. Hendricks went back to her worrying, and I wound my way through the house looking for the back entrance. My legs got tired before it finally showed on the other side of the pantry. It poured out into a flagstone patio as big as the Palladium. A walk took me to a shed. It was a 2-story redwood place that must have made a loud noise on the cash register, and alongside, fenced in with chicken wire, was a whole population of turkeys. Well, I went into the shed. A little round-faced guy with pink skin was leaning over a barrel of cider. He wore a blue silk smoking jacket with gold initials EH on the pocket. When he caught my footsteps, his head bobbed up, and he gave me a deep look like he was trying to see the back of my eyeballs.
Yes?
I'm Regan, International Detective Bureau.
Oh, I've been expecting you. I'm Hendricks.
Yeah, I know. Why the fireworks?
Huh? Oh. Miles Standish. Just having fun. It's a party, you know. Big party we're having here.
Yeah, well, the neighbors will complain.
Ah, neighbors. None for miles around. That's why I like it out here. Have trouble finding me?
You ought to put up signs.
Signs? Glasses of cider, Regan? Carefully. What?
I'm not thirsty.
That's not what it's for. Strong kind. Oh, go on. Thanksgiving soon. Get the spirit.
No, I can hold out till Thursday.
Suit yourself. Excuse me. Good. Yeah. Well, it's going to be quite a party here, you know.
Your wife's got a different version.
Oh, you spoke to her?
Yeah.
You were told to come out here to see me?
I got sidetracked.
It's not good for a man in your position.
All right, Hendricks, why am I here?
What'd she say to you?
I forgot.
Regan, you're making me angry.
Now, look, mister, you didn't get me out here to make a pilgrim out of me.
No, of course not. Fine woman, Mrs. Hendricks. We've been married for years, you know, happily. Fine little woman. Just she makes me a little nervous at times.
You like the sound of guns going off?
She shouldn't get so excited. Boys just having little fun. It's only once a year. What's wrong with that?
Come on, now, what's the job?
Didn't the lion tell you?
He said you would.
Oh, well. Nothing to be so mysterious about. I've just got a package I want you to take to them. Here it is. A turkey.
You got me all the way out here to play escort to that bird?
Well, I just want to be friendly. Here. Now, go on. It's a long way back to L.A., and you want to be there for Thanksgiving.
What's the difference? I got the turkey. I can celebrate any time. 60 miles to do a delivery job, bird. Well, I wandered back to my car, and I listened to the crickets and the gunshots try to outdo each other. And then I dumped the turkey into the back seat, and I started the car down the drive. I just noted around the bend when the headlights caught a pair of buckled shoes and black knee breeches. Miles Standish was lying face down in the dirt, and there was a wet shine on his side. He was breathing hard. Blunderbuss was lying beside him, and I figured that he blew out the wrong end. I would have gone for the Hendricks phone and the doctor, but I got a good look at the holes in him, and I headed for a hospital instead. The blunderbuss may have been kicking up a fuss, but the holes in Miles Standish were 20th century, about the size of a .32. Well, I turned him over to an emergency hospital, and I put a call into the sheriff's office. I gave the story to Lieutenant Robinson, and then I headed back toward town. At the Lion's place, the lights were still on, so I figured he didn't have company. I rapped on the door, and he flung it open before the echo could die away. He had a carving knife in one hand, and he was wearing an apron. His eyes were big, and he had an eager look like a college couple on Mulholland Drive.
Regan, you're back.
Oh, now that takes a big brain.
I've been waiting for you. You know, I had a chance to go to a classy party tonight. Russian caviar and champagne and favors to all the guests. You know why I didn't go?
You lost your crack suit, huh?
I said to myself, is it fair to go out and have a good time while my employee is working real hard for international detectives?
And the answer came out yes, but the party was called off.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was. But I wouldn't have gone anyway. Where is it?
Where's what?
The package from Hendricks.
Now, you can change your plans, big shot. You're getting a bundle of trouble instead.
What do you mean?
Turkeys aren't the only thing they're knocking off out on that ranch.
Huh?
Somebody's handy with a .32 and he's found a target.
You've been drinking?
Check the county emergency hospital. They'll show you the holes.
I send you out on a simple little job and you come back with a crazy story about a shooting. You're out of your mind.
Now listen, you, there's a big smell out in Calabasas.
What about my turkey?
The sheriff's office are going to have a lot of questions. You got the answers?
I don't know anything. I was miles away.
Well, then find out something. Check into the guy who shot. Find out who he is, what he does, and what he was doing out at Hendricks.
Where you going?
Scratch around in the Hendricks closet. They tell different stories about their wedded bliss.
Hey, Regan.
Yeah?
Where's my turkey?
It's too rich for your blood, Fatso. Stick to chicken. Well, I left him standing there with his apron hanging out. Miles Standish might get enough wind to do that extra hole to say who shot him, but more likely not. Anyway, with the bucket load he had, he would have sworn it was the last of the Mohicans. But there was an angle to that Hendricks woman, even if it didn't show. So I walked up the street to where my car was nuzzling a lamppost, and the turkey and I were just going to wake up a newspaper office, only something changed my mind. A newspaper. It was wrapped around a bundle, and the bundle was under a guy's arm, and the arm was shutting the door of my car. Good evening, Pop.
Yeah. Hi.
Going somewhere?
Sure. Find a place to sleep, that's all.
Want a cigarette?
Say, I don't mind if I do. Thought you was a bull for a minute. You mind if I take two?
No, help yourself.
My brother smokes two. And not much in the streets these days.
Yeah, it's bad all over.
Something ought to be done.
No, stick around, Pop.
No, Sonny. You give me smokes. I don't hit you for cash. It's a rule I got.
I'll make the touch.
What's that?
What's in the newspaper?
Russia.
Inside.
The funny paper.
Yeah, sure.
Well, now take it easy, boss. The guy's got a right to his privacy.
You weren't sleeping in my car.
Oh, so that's it, huh? Yours, huh? Small world, ain't it?
Yeah, come on, let's unwrap.
Now, it's Thanksgiving, Mac. Ain't you heard of Thanksgiving?
I'm going to plug my ears. Give.
Now, please, Mac, show me the spirit. Once in my life, both drumsticks.
Stop it, you're breaking my heart.
I mean it, Mac. Let me have it. I'll break the wishbone for you, Sonny. I will. You ain't got no use for all that meat, have you? Oh, you have, huh? Oh, so long, man.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold it.
I let go of my arm.
That was a pretty dance, but you should have changed your shoes.
What's that?
You didn't get those buckles in the bread line.
Oh.
Now, come on, change the record. Who are you?
That's none of your business. Let go.
I said talk.
I will not.
You're from the Hendricks place, aren't you? You're from the... Oh.
Thank you, Phelps.
That's all right. Got the bird?
Sure. Let's go.
Yeah. Nighty-night, Pilgrim.
You are listening to the story of the Pilgrim's Progress, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps. Graduate registered nurses between the ages of 21 and 45 may qualify for service with this fine organization. If you are interested in joining the Army Nurse Corps and believe you qualify for a commission, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to Jeff Regan, Investigator, and the story of the Pilgrim's Progress.
Well, none of it made sense. The Lion sent me out to pick up a turkey on the Hendricks Ranch in Calabasas, and the Mr. and Mrs. were having an old-fashioned turkey shoot, and all the guests carried blunderbusses and dressed like pilgrims. Only it wasn't just the turkeys who were acting as targets. One of the pilgrims ended up with some .32 caliber holes in him. And then the Hendricks lackey and a buddy shoved a gun at me and stole the Lion's bird. Well, I picked myself up and I went home. A heavy man was doing a heist job on my icebox. He was pouring himself a glass of milk to wash down a sandwich he was munching on.
Hi, Regan.
Go right ahead. Help yourself.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait, and I was getting hungry.
There's a restaurant just up the block.
I like it better this way, homemade. Fix you a sandwich? Pretty good deviled ham.
Come on, let's close the box and open your mouth, buddy.
Why not? We had a date, remember? Robertson, Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
You don't mind me coming in like this, do you?
What if I did?
I'd leave. Sanctity of the home, you know.
You can throw me out even though I got a badge.
Let's cut away the fat, mister. What do you want?
Answers to a couple of questions. What were you doing at the Hendricks place?
Picking up a turkey?
Well, that's a new one.
Now, look, you ask him. I'll answer him. Never mind the feature page.
How long have you known the Hendricks?
Never met him before.
Wrong answer.
What do you mean?
We found this out at the Hendricks house. A page torn out of the yellow directory with a red circle around international detective.
Now, that doesn't say a thing.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm still scratching around.
It'll ruin your manicure.
You know, Regan, you don't seem to realize the seriousness of this. That Pilgrim you dragged in died.
Well, I figured.
We don't like unsolved murders messing up our record books.
Well, then you're wasting your time here.
I got lots of it. I don't come up for pension for 12 more years. What was that Pilgrim's name?
He gave me Miles Standish.
Sounds like a fake.
Well, don't count on it. I once knew a John Smith.
Give me the real name.
I don't have it.
All right. He's an out-of-town boy, but we'll track him down. Now, straighten out something for me, Regan. How long did you say you knew the Hendricks?
Now, look, I gave this to you once. Nothing's changed.
How come we find a $5,000 check in that joker's pocket made out to cash and signed by Hendricks? Go ahead, answer. Just don't make a date. You may not be available.
Yeah?
Mr. Regan, this is Mrs. Hendricks. I must see you right away.
Who did you say?
Mrs. Hendricks, you remember?
Charlie? No, there's no Charlie here. You must have the wrong number.
Sort of annoying, isn't it, Regan, when you get a wrong number late at night?
Well, it happens.
Sure it does. Happened to me once.
Anything else you want?
Another deviled ham sandwich?
Kitchen's closed.
Pretty rotten hospitality.
Well, you weren't asked.
Okay, I gotta move anyway. See you later, Regan. Keep the mud off your shoes.
ER3408.
Hello?
Mrs. Hendricks, this is Regan.
I just called you.
Well, I couldn't talk. What do you want?
Can you come out, Mr. Regan? Right away.
You still lonely?
Things aren't going well.
Well, murder's like that.
I've got to talk to somebody. Won't you please come?
Give me a reason.
I can tell you some things now I couldn't mention before.
Like why your husband wrote a $5,000 check to the dead man?
Check? But there must be some mistake.
What do you mean?
My husband couldn't write a check that large. He doesn't have any money of his own. It's all in my name.
All right. Put a lantern in the window, lady. I'll need some light. Well, I headed out there fast. But when I raised a racket with a brass knocker, nothing happened. I tried a window, and a couple of scratches later, I was in the hall. The place looked empty, like the Rose Bowl on January 2nd. I found Miss Hendricks' room, where I talked to her and stepped inside. The decorations were different.
Sheriff's office. Robinson.
This is Regan. I got something for you.
It better be good.
You're going into overtime.
What do you mean?
Bring some boys out to the Hendricks place with a wet rag. Somebody blew out Mr. Hendricks' fuse. Well, I backed out of the room and I made it for the bar trying to turn up a bottle. In the corner, something else turned up instead. Another dead body. The turkey Phelps and his buddy had stolen from me. Somebody real eager had done a carving job on it before it was even cooked. They'd torn it apart like they were looking for something. Well, it was morning before the sheriff's boys cleaned up the Hendricks mess when we got back to town. Robinson had a few more questions, but I was still short on the answers. Ballistics had one, though. Same gun did the job on both Miles Standish and Hendricks. That's all. Homicide was getting places in a hurry, like a snail hauling a piano. Well, the lion was waiting for me outside the sheriff's office, and he pulled me to the side. His eyes were lit up like a pinball machine, and you could tell he'd thought to send up a greenback.
They tricked you okay, Regan?
Good enough.
No rough stuff?
Oh, nothing that shows, no.
We're in luck. I've been turning up things. We've been playing the wrong horse.
Well, it figures you're good at picking losers.
Hendricks is a piker, a social climber.
He's a dead one.
I'll send him flowers, but I'm telling you, he could only write checks for 5 G's.
With a big bounce.
Somebody else in this thing can write bigger ones.
Well, let me guess who.
Mrs. Hendricks, that's who. I tell you, Regan, it pays to keep up your connection.
How high can she go?
The sky's below sea level.
What else you got?
Standish is a phony moniker.
That's grammar school.
Real name Jeffrey Kelly, age 42. He's a wholesale jeweler. He had a little business with Mrs. H. $250,000 worth.
That's going to run up his taxes.
He can handle it.
What did he do for her?
I drew a blank, but he deposited her certified check at the bank yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm. How does Phelps figure?
I don't know.
Well, who's the little man in the big overcoat?
I can't do everything. You gotta do some work, too.
Yeah, sure.
Now, find Mrs. Hendricks. Offer her the services of international detective at our usual nominal rate, but don't underplay it. Now, get busy.
Where you going?
Home to bed. A man's gotta get some sleep.
Well, the time was ticking out, but the game wasn't over yet. I figured to have a fast finish, and the Lion had a pretty good idea about catching some shut-eye. So I moved to the office and to stretch out on the couch. But through the glass, I could see there was a light on. Company was inside.
Crestview 2045. Phelps, no luck. I looked all over. I told you, I tore the place apart. Nothing's here. I'm trying my best. Stop harping. Oh, well, it must be someplace else. Okay, right away.
Leave a nickel, Buster.
Huh? Oh, Regan.
You looking for something?
You, Pilgrim.
What else?
Plymouth Rock.
Come on, punk, level it.
It coax me.
All right, Nickers, you've been crying for this. Now, what now? Well, it felt good to watch the big guy fall. He folded in like a steeple in an earthquake. When his head bounced on the Lion's carpet, it figured he was due for a long sleep, so I went through his pockets. Ticket stubs from the prize fights, the gun, and a pocket knife I dumped into the safe. It was a pass to the Dons game on November 25th. He must have swiped that from his boss, and I filed that in the Lion's desk for future reference. But this guy Phelps had taken orders from somebody besides Hendricks. I just heard him do it on the phone. So when I turned up an old envelope with 832 North Palm stretched in the back, I crossed my fingers. He'd been calling a Crestview number, and the phone book said that I had a lead. North Palm was in the Crestview exchange area. So I called for the cops to sweep up Brother Phelps, and I climbed back onto my broomstick. I drove out through Beverly Hills. I wound up in front of a big Spanish house with potted $10 bills on the driveway. There was a new Nash sticking out of the garage, and I walked around to take a look. But honest John had beat me to it.
Who's there?
Now, stick around. I want to talk to you.
Stand back. Stand back.
You like cars, don't you? Maybe you want a hot rod.
No, you don't. Get away from me.
Hey. Well, it was the little turkey fan that I'd last seen in an overcoat. Phelps' buddy. He took out of there like a cow in deer season, so I let him go. No license. Well, I took a look around the car he'd been sniffing, but nothing showed except the registration. It said Mrs. Agnes Hendricks. I went to the house and rang the doorbell, and she answered.
Oh, what's you? Mr. Regan.
All right, I'll ask myself in.
Yes, come in.
Who are you expecting, John Alden?
No, I'm glad to see you.
You know, I don't like girls who break dates.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't wait for you to come all the way to Calabasas.
You got impatient on the kind of a body in the house.
You saw him?
Yeah, after I tripped over him in your room.
I didn't do it.
Did I say you did?
You've got to believe me.
Relax. I look like a jury. You got multiple vision.
Oh, Mr. Regan, I was so frightened. I didn't know which way to turn.
We've been through all that woman driver routine. You don't like your husband. You wanted to get rid of him.
But only in Reno.
All right, now let's get back to page 1. You gave 250 G's to a jeweler named Kelly. You bought a rock.
What?
A rock, Plymouth Rock. It's a diamond. It's got to be.
Well,
why'd you do it? Who'd you buy it for?
Myself. My lawyer said I should get it for myself, that's all.
He likes you pretty, huh?
No, it was a community property thing. He said I could keep my husband from knowing how much money I had when he asked for a divorce settlement.
Only hubby got wind of the deal.
I guess so.
You're making sense. Only why did he write a check to Kelly?
Well, it was a small one. It must have been for a paste imitation, don't you think?
It's not my business. Keep dealing.
I mean, maybe he planned on switching them and getting my real one.
That's been done.
He actually did it. Because all through this, there's been a diamond in the place where I always keep it.
All right, you got a strong boy, Phelps. Had him out looking for the real diamond.
What?
And the other guy, the old man, was out in the garage.
No.
Phelps tore up my office, phoned here to you.
Mr. Regan,
now, look, there's been 2 guys killed.
Mr. Regan.
Good evening, Pilgrim.
Where's your overcoat?
Stand still, please.
Yeah, my foot's in a crack.
Mr. Regan, this is John Alden.
Oh, can it, will you? I've seen him act one part already.
That's true. Mine is the only name that's real. This is my house, Mr. Regan.
Lawyer?
Yes, I came here to see him, Mr. Regan. I just got here before you did.
Be quiet, Agnes.
Well, I got it all now.
You won't keep it.
Phelps took his orders from you.
It's a waste of testimony.
You started this. Spotted the gem switch. Figured to cash in.
You're losing your chip.
Shut up, will you? I got aces. Hendricks outfoxed you. You never found the real diamond.
Five in the hand draws blood.
Mr. Alden, don't...
Now, you keep out of this, Agnes.
She's not in it. You are.
That's all, Regan.
All right, come on, drop it. Drop it.
Go with that.
I guess I hit him with the paste one.
Huh?
Look, the diamond, it broke.
Yeah.
It was just luck. I had the other one, too. I thought Alden was honest. I came to tell him I found it in my husband's cider.
Well, that tears it. Come on, Priscilla. That docks the Mayflower. Well, the whole thing folded in like an elephant on a pogo stick. Yeah, the lawyer did it all right, both of them. When he spotted what Hendricks was up to with that diamond switch, he moved in, but not for his client. The jeweler, Miles Standish, alias Kelly, got bumped because he was the only one who could tell the real diamond from a phony. But Hendricks got wise to the muscle act, and so he got shot. Well, the Lion was real happy the way it worked out. That dame with the nerves wrote him a check. So he invited me out to Thanksgiving dinner. He offered me any part of the turkey that I wanted. I told him, but I got it anyway.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS at the same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by Larry Roman and Jackson Gillis, produced by Sterling Tracy. Featured in tonight's story were Mary Lansing, Marvin Miller, Paul Frees, and Paul DeBove. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to bunco detail. For the past year, a confidence man has been cheating women in your city. You finally get a lead on him. Your job? Get him. Tonight, I have a new report for you. A most important one, too. Because when you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it all the time. After a full year of observation, a medical specialist who has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months for the full year reports no adverse effects to their nose, throat, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. They're best for you. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 12th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of bunco detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Steed. My name's Friday. We were at the Armstrong Thomas department store cafeteria, and it was 3:14 p.m. when I got back to the table.
Here, Joe. Let me give you a hand.
Oh, thanks.
Here you are, Miss Terrence.
Thank you.
I wonder if you'd tell us what this is all about now, ma'am.
Surely. Sorry you had to wait, but I thought it might be better if we talked up here.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you pass the sugar, please?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Here you are.
Well, it's not a pretty thing. I don't know how I could have been so foolish. But I guess when you get to be my age and you haven't got anything, almost any attention makes you forget.
Yes, ma'am. How'd you first meet this man, Benton?
I saw him first at a musicale. I met him very briefly that night. He called me the next day, said that he wanted to see me again. Well, I told him that I didn't think it'd be proper, but he insisted, so that night we had dinner together. He seemed so nice, I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
Such a wonderful time. I didn't think anybody could be so happy. We ate at a wonderful little place down at the beach. Then we went for a long drive and listened to the music on the radio. Just beautiful. The way the ocean looked, all moonlight and all.
Mm-hmm. When'd you see him again, ma'am?
Not until he left. He'd call a couple of times a day. It got a little embarrassing. The girls at the store here got to kidding me about it, but I didn't care. Then he told me he wanted to marry me. I couldn't believe it. So wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Then one day he told me that he was going to have to take a business trip up north.
When was that? Do you remember, ma'am?
I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
Well, he left. I went down to the station and saw him off. He kissed me and said that when he got back, we'd be married. We were going over to Las Vegas on our honeymoon. Wonderful plans. Wonderful. Then I heard from him, and he got to San Francisco. He called me from the hotel and said that he'd lost his wallet on the train. He told me he'd lost everything. All his money, identification, everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he asked me for the $100. I didn't think that anything was wrong, so I sent it to him.
Where'd you send it, ma'am?
To his hotel.
Did you hear from him at all after that, ma'am?
Not a word. At first, I thought that maybe he was just busy. I did think it was kind of funny that he wouldn't say something about getting the money I sent, but not a word. Then I got worried.
Yes, ma'am, I can understand.
Finally, I called the hotel, and they told me that he'd checked out. I figured that maybe he was back in town and wanted to surprise me. So I called his apartment. The landlady told me that he had left a couple of weeks before, that he didn't leave any forwarding address.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know what to think. I didn't want to believe that he'd just used me, but there didn't seem to be anything else to think.
Yes, ma'am.
Then, of course, it was only $100. Seems that if he'd wanted to rob me, he could have asked for more. I still don't believe it, even when I know it's true.
Yes, ma'am. Now, I wonder if you could give us a description of the man.
Yes, I can do that. Let's see. He was tall.
About how tall, ma'am?
Over 6 feet, maybe 6'2". He had blonde hair, kind of wavy.
About how much would you say he weighed, Miss Terrence?
I'd just be guessing, but I'd say about 190 or so.
I see. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to come down to the city hall and look at some pictures for us.
You think you might have one of him?
It's possible, ma'am. Maybe it'd make you feel a little better to know that you're not the only woman that this Benton has taken. There have been quite a few.
I guess I knew that. Even if I didn't want to believe it, I guess I knew it was just a confidence game. Such a cruel thing, though, to use a person's loneliness to rob them.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
When you get along in years and you haven't got anything to hold on to, little attention and affection makes you forget everything else. Nothing else seems to matter.
Yes, ma'am. I guess that's the way they figure it. Frank and I had been looking for Jonathan Benton for the past year. During that time, he'd taken approximately $37,000 from women in the Los Angeles area. His method of operation was to answer the ads in the personal columns of the daily papers. He'd give the woman a whirlwind courtship, then under the pretext of having to clean up some business before marriage, he'd leave town. He'd call the next day and give them the story about losing his wallet and identification. He'd ask them for $100. This in itself was to throw off the suspicions of the victims. In the event that they suspected that they were being taken in a racket, $100 was small enough so that their fears were quieted. Benton would answer about 20 to 30 of these ads at a time, and the requests for money would hit all of the suspects at once. We'd had several complaints lately, and there was no way of knowing how many women were being taken and were too embarrassed to report it to the authorities. 4:30 p.m. We drove Miss Terrence back to the city hall and had her check the mug books. She was unable to give us an identification, however. Another month passed. During that time, we received 14 more complaints. In all instances, the description of the suspect matched that of Jonathan Benton. All available sources of information were checked. Bulletins had been gotten out carrying his description and the name he used. No results. On Wednesday, March 25th, we got a call that a man answering Benton's description had placed an ad in the personal columns of one of the daily papers. He'd used the name of Thomas Conant. The clerk at the ad counter gave us his address, and at 5:32 p.m., Frank and I went out to talk to him.
Yeah?
You Thomas Conant?
Yeah, that's right. What can I do for you?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Sure, come on in. Always glad to talk to the law.
This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do, Mr. Smith?
How do you do, sir?
If you boys will come on in, I'll shut the door.
Thank you.
Now, what's this all about?
Well, sir, did you put this ad in the paper?
Let me see. Texas cowman desires to meet petite young lady, object companionship. Spelled everything right to dead. Yes, sir, that's mine. I wrote it all myself.
How long you been in Los Angeles?
Well, now, let's see. Got in on the bus last Tuesday. That'd make a week and a day.
Uh-huh. What brings you out here?
Well, I guess you could say it's kind of a business trip. Got a little tired of the same faces back home, so I thought I'd just see what the rest of the country looked like. What little there is of it. I'm from Texas, you know. Amarillo. What's all this about, anyway? Some law I broke?
No, it's about that ad.
Oh, you found out, huh?
Beg pardon?
Oh, you found out about me saying I was a cattleman. That's it, ain't it?
What do you mean?
Well, now, I didn't mean no harm. I do have a couple milk cows on the place, a Holstein and a Guernsey. They're real nice, too. It's just that I was so darn lonesome, I kind of thought this might be a way to meet some nice gal. I didn't mean no harm. You can see that, can't you?
Yes, sir, I guess so. Wonder if you'd mind taking a ride with us, sir?
Well, I should say not. Always happy to go along with the law. Where you figure to go to?
I'd like you to meet somebody.
Well, now that's right. Nice of you. Got some gal you'd like me to meet, huh?
Well, it's not exactly that, sir.
Well, it don't matter none. I got nothing to do anyhow. Just sitting here wondering if I get any replies to the ad.
All right, sir. If you wouldn't mind, let's go.
Not at all. I'll get my hat. Don't hardly feel conspicuous in this hat at all.
Is that right?
Yep. Kind of thought people might make something of it, but they hardly even notice it. Had two little kids come up today, ask for my autograph. Guess they figured I was a movie star. Made me feel real good, too. Then I wrote my name for them. They didn't know who I was. That didn't make no mind to them. They just thanked me and went on about the business. Right nice little folks they was.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Sure. Real nice people here in L.A., real nice. Haven't met a bad one yet.
Well, you haven't been here long. We got 'em. 5:40 p.m. We drove Thomas Conant downtown and had a car go out and pick up Miss Terrence. While we talked to Conant in the interrogation room, she walked by the open door and looked in at the suspect. She told us that he was not the man who'd victimized her. She was returned to her home, and after Conant had been checked through R&I, he was released. The next morning, Frank and I ran down a tip from an informant, but it led us nowhere. 10:18 a.m., we checked back into the office.
You get the latest bulletin from San Francisco, Joe?
Yeah, I looked it over this morning. They checked out the hotel Benton was staying at. He checked out of there. They haven't seen him since.
Well, that means he's probably back here in town, huh?
Well, if he is, we should start hearing about him again pretty soon. I'll get it. Bunko Friday. Who? Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, Miss Terrence, I remember. Yes, ma'am. Where was that? Would you give me that again? Yes, ma'am. 48 Vine. Uh-huh. Yes, that's right, ma'am. We'll get in touch with you. Right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Grace Terrence?
Yeah, she just saw Benton.
Where?
Went into an apartment out on Vine Street. 10:30 10:41 a.m. Frank and I got to the apartment house on Vine Street. We talked to the landlord, and he told us that a man answering the suspect's description was registered in apartment 4B. He was registered under the name Jonathan Benson. He told us that this Benson had just moved in and paid his first month's rent in advance. He'd said that he was just going to be in town for a short time, and that in the event that he moved out before his month was up, he expected no refund. Frank and I went up to the 4th floor and knocked on the door.
Yeah?
You Jonathan Benson?
Who are you?
Police officers. We want to talk to you.
What about?
Might be better if we talked inside.
Maybe I don't want you in my...
All right, now, mister, you get your hat. We want to talk to you downtown.
What for?
Come on, get your hat.
Just a minute. I think maybe there's been some kind of mistake here. Just tell me exactly what it is you're looking for. I'm sure we can work.
Come on, mister. Quit stalling. Get your hat, will you?
Come on in. I'll get my hat.
I'll get it for you. In this closet?
Yeah, the gray one. You sure you got the right man?
Looks that way.
Mm-hmm. No way to work this out.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't even know why you want me to go with you. Seems you could fill me in on that.
Got some people we'd like to have you meet.
Who?
You'll see when we get there.
Here's your hat. Come on, let's go.
You guys sure think you're the Gestapo, coming in here dragging a private citizen out of his house.
You haven't done anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about then, have you?
That's not the point. I don't like it. Coming in here and taking me downtown so a lot of stupid old broads can look at me.
Who said we wanted women to look at you?
You did.
No, we said we wanted you to meet some people.
Must have misunderstood, huh?
Yeah, I guess you did.
No way we can work this out, huh?
There's no way. Now, come on.
Oh, just a minute. I want to be sure I got my key. I don't want to be locked out.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
You might not be coming back. Frank and I took Jonathan Benson downtown. We ran him through R&I, but we got no identification. His fingerprints were rolled and checked, but they didn't make him. Miss Terrence was called and asked to come down to the city hall to try to identify the suspect. 2:30 p.m. We took him to the interrogation room.
You ever use the name Benton?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
You ever use any other alias?
Why should I?
You tell us.
Now, look, why don't you come off it? Tell me what this is all about.
You told us you just got into town, is that right?
Yeah, I've been here about a week.
Where'd you come from?
Up north.
Where up north?
San Francisco.
You live up there, do you?
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time? What's that mean?
Just that. Most of the time I live in San Francisco. That hard for you guys to understand?
What line of work you in?
I'm a salesman.
Yeah, what do you sell?
Whatever people want to buy.
What are you selling now?
Nothing right now. That's why I'm here. I'm looking for a deal.
You know a woman named Terrence, Grace Terrence?
I don't think so. Might. Why?
We'd like to know.
Hey, maybe I'm wrong about all of this, but it seems to me that when they taught me civics in school, they said that I had to be booked, that you had to let me go. They changed that law?
No, that law's still good.
Then let's stop horsing around. I got a lot of things I want to do. Fill me in on this and then let me out of here.
All right. There's been a confidence man working in the L.A. area, been taking money from women. Gives them a big pitch about wanting to marry him, and then he hits them up for $100 and leaves them.
Sounds like a good racket.
He's taking a lot of money from people who haven't got it to spare.
Offhand, I'd say a tough life.
Offhand, we'd say you're wrong.
Way you look at it. Where do I fit into this little fantasy?
You look good for the guy who's been pulling the deal.
Me?
That's right.
You guys are flipping.
Description matches.
So I look like another guy.
Everything else about you checks out.
So you figure you've made me for the jobs, huh?
That's what we figure.
Which way's the gas chamber? Oh, come off it, fellas. You guys know you're trying to hang a bad rap on me. You know it, and so do I. Now, let's call the whole thing off. I can get out of here, and you can get to the pinochle.
I'll get it.
Hello, Jonathan.
What?
Why'd you do it, Jonathan? Why? If you wanted the money, you could have asked for it. I'd have given it to you. You didn't have to lie about what you thought.
Place is full of them loonies.
Is this the man, Miss Terrence?
Yes, Sergeant, that's him.
All right, how about it, Benson?
I don't know what she's talking about. What's this bit with that's him? Loonies jumping with
All right, now, Benson, I've had enough of that. Now, come off it. You've just been identified. We got a lot more of them that we can have here. I think they'll identify you, too.
Why, John? Why?
Oh, get her out of here. One thing I can't stand is a woman bawling. Something comes along, I can't figure out right away they got to bawl. Anything comes along, they got to cry. I'm sick of it.
All right, ma'am, maybe it'd be better if you waited in our office.
Yes, Sergeant. Still don't know why he did it. Why he took this way to get the money.
I took this way because it was the easy way. You broads are all alike, every last one of you. Let me get a few things straight first. You say I took $100 from you, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, I want you to think about this, and think real careful. Didn't I say that I wanted to borrow the money? Isn't that what I said, borrow?
Yes, that's what you said.
Did I say that I'd pay the money back in any certain time?
I don't know.
Well, you think real good. You'll remember that I didn't. I just said that I'd pay you back. That's all. I didn't say when.
I guess I don't care.
There you are. Is it any crime to borrow money from a friend? I borrowed the money from her. I'll pay it back.
You said you wanted to marry me. You said you loved me.
Oh, come off it, Sarah. You got no beat. You got the soft light and the romantic music. You got it all. Look at you. Take a good look. Who'd want to marry you? Here, just a minute. Here. Here's $100 I borrowed. I want to pay you back. I got $100 worth of laughs from you. That much easy. Here's your dough. Now go home and have a good cry. I wouldn't marry you if you were the last woman on
All right,
earth.
that's enough of that, Benson.
You're not just kidding. This old harpy with romantic ideas. What a laugh. She thinks anybody want to marry her, and she's a loony, too.
I didn't think anybody could be this mean. I didn't think anyone could be this cruel. I don't believe it.
You got no choice. You knew it all along. Thanks for the laughs.
Come on, Miss Terrence, please.
Imagine that old bag really thinking I'd marry her?
Yeah.
Real laugh. Well, anyway, she got her dough back. I said I'd pay her back. I did. You check with the rest of them. They'll tell you the same thing. I borrowed the money, that's all. I can't help it if they thought something else. I can't help it, Calvin. Come on, let's get this over with. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
You look upset, Cobb. Don't be. It won't prove anything. That's the way it
I
is.
got something for you, Benson.
Is that right?
Yeah. Someplace, sometime, you're going to make a mistake.
Is that right?
Yeah, and when you do, we're going to lean on you, and we're going to lean hard.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield Regular, Chesterfield King Size. The first cigarette to give you premium quality either way you like 'em. This means that King Size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other King Size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this full year scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
We had 12 of the victims of the confidence man look at Benson. All of them gave a positive identification, but verified his story that he'd borrowed the money from them. 4:25 p.m., Frank and I got in touch with the district attorney's office and talked with them. What Benson had said was true. In borrowing the money, or in saying he was borrowing it, he'd committed no violation of the law. We had to release him from custody. A month passed. During that time, we'd heard nothing more from the suspect. He'd stopped working the Dodge in the Los Angeles area. We contacted the San Francisco authorities and informed them of what had happened. They said that they'd be on the lookout for Benson. During the next 2 weeks, Frank and I worked on a ring of bunco artists that were working the obituary columns. On June 16th, we got a call from Burglary Division that they'd gotten a report of a theft, and talking to the victim, they'd gotten the name Jack Bentley. They checked the files on him and found that it could be Jonathan Benson. The victim, a Miss Betty Lindsay, came to our office to talk to us.
I don't know why they thought that I should see you. It's just a plain theft.
The officers in burglary said that they thought we might be interested in the thief, Miss Lindsay. I wonder if you'd tell us about him.
Lousy crumb. This guy's a real schnook. Schnook of the first water.
Yes, ma'am. What's his name, please?
Called himself Bentley, Jack Bentley. What a bum.
What do you look like, Miss Lindsay?
Tall and blonde. Kind of nice-looking guy if you went for the type. I did. Now I got troubles. Oh, what a no-good bum.
Wonder if you'd take a look at some of the pictures we've got here and see if he's in these.
Sure. I'd like to see you get him. Where are the pictures?
Frank, would you get him, please?
Yeah.
Where'd you meet this Bentley? Do you remember?
Well, I'm sort of the hostess at a place downtown over on 5th. Anyway, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, this schnook comes in, orders a couple of drinks, and leaves. Next night, he's back again. Ooh, he was a cagey one. Didn't work too fast. Took about a week to make the pitch, then he asked me out to dinner. Well, he always seemed kind of nice, so I told him I'd go.
Mm-hmm. Here are the pictures, ma'am.
If you just take a look through them and see if there's one of Bentley in there.
Sure. Let's see. No. It's not. Hey, this one's kind of cute. What's he want it for?
Oh, he works the casualty racket.
What's that?
Gets the names of people that have died, tells their families that they ordered some stuff.
What kind of stuff?
Oh, pen and pencil sets, watches, cheap things. Charges a lot of money for them. Most of the people figure that it's one of the last things their loved ones wanted, so they pay the prices. The stuff's worthless.
Lousy racket. Such a nice-looking guy, too. So honest.
Well, that's why it works.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, let me see. No, this one's not him. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's him. Ooh, what a nudnik.
Ma'am?
A nudnik, a real bum. But that's him, I'm sure of it.
Benson.
Yeah.
You mean you know this guy?
Yes, ma'am. What if you tell us exactly what happened?
Sure, like I was telling you. This guy, Benson?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. Jonathan Benson.
Yeah, well, anyway, he asked me out to dinner. I told him I'd go. It looked like he was pretty well fixed, so I figured it wouldn't do no harm. Well, see, I don't get off till 12:30, and there ain't many nice places open after that. But I said yeah, so he told me he'd pick me up. He got to the club about 10 o'clock. Said that he'd gotten through with whatever it was he was doing, that he came by to see if he could use my apartment to freshen up a bit. Freshen up a bit. Boy, what a way to heist the place. Oh, what a bum.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I gave him the key to the place. He said that he'd stop at a drugstore and pick up a razor, and shave and wash his face, and then he'd be back to pick me up. It's the last I ever saw of him.
Mm-hmm.
Walked off with a fur coat I had. Saved for 3 years for that coat. Cost me $900. And he took a ring worth about $150. Diamonds. Belonged to my mother. Sure hope you get him. Nail him good.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, what a nutnik.
We continued to question Betty Lindsay. She gave us the name of one of Benson's friends. We checked on him, and he gave us the name of a girl who knew the suspect. We talked to her, and she was able to give us Benson's address. It was a rooming house on Franklin Avenue in the Hollywood area. 6:47 p.m. Frank and I went up to his room.
Yeah, come on in. Should have kept my mouth shut. What do you guys want?
We want to talk you downtown, Benson.
We aren't going to get on that merry-go-round again, are we? I'm getting tired of this whole deal. What are you guys trying to tell me this time?
We didn't have to do it, Benson. You took care of that yourself.
Is that right?
Yep, you made a mistake.
What is it this time? You figure I took some candy away from a blind
All right,
newsboy?
come on, Benson. Let's go.
You're going to arrest me this time, or am I going as a favor?
This time it's on us.
You mean we're playing for keeps now?
Yeah.
What's the charge?
Grand theft.
You're kidding.
Nope.
I really believe you're serious.
That's right. You called it.
Well, this is going to be interesting. If you can't prove this, I'm going to own City Hall, and the first thing I'm going to do is fire you two. You know that, don't you?
Well, we'll take that chance.
All right, but don't say I didn't warn you. You know, someday I'm going to write a book. Call it Some of My Best Friends Are Cops.
Yeah, you do that.
I will.
You'll have the time. We took the suspect downtown. We talked to him for over an hour, but he'd admit nothing. Without being able to produce the stolen articles, the case would be difficult to prosecute. We had Benson take everything out of his pockets. Among his personal effects, we found a key to a locker in the subway terminal. 2 men from Bunko Division took the key and went down to the terminal. They recovered a locked suitcase and brought it back to the squad room where we were questioning Benson.
How about it, Benson? This yours?
Never saw it before in my life.
It's locked. You got a key to this, Benson?
I told you it wasn't mine. What more can I say?
See those keys there, aren't they?
Yeah. Here.
All right.
I don't know what this is all going to prove. I told you the suitcase isn't mine.
Yeah, that figures. That's how come the keys fit, huh?
Cheap suitcase. A lot of the keys double.
Is that right?
Sure, lots of times I lost a key for one suitcase, used the key from another one to open it.
You ever find one of these in the case?
I never saw that fur coat in my life. Haven't got the slightest idea how it got there. I want to talk to a lawyer.
You're getting kind of jumpy, aren't you, Benson?
Sure, I don't mind admitting it. I told you I got no idea where that coat came from, but I know you guys aren't going to believe it. You're out to get me. You said so. You're going to try everything you can do with it.
You want to tell us about it now?
There's nothing to tell. I don't know nothing about it.
You don't ever give up, do you?
I don't know what you're talking about. I want to see a lawyer.
All right, we'll fix it so you can put that call in. We got the owner of this coat on the way down here. She's going to identify him, and that's all we need. Now, you just sit there and keep your mouth shut, will you?
I'll get it. Bunko, Smith. What's that? Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, I remember. What? You did, huh? Well, that's swell. Glad to hear it. Well, I wouldn't know. I'm not much of an authority, I guess. Her name's what? Yeah, it's a nice name. Well, I'll be glad to tell him. I'm sure he'll be pleased. Thanks very much for calling. When are you leaving? I see. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.
Anything?
Yeah, it's that kid from Texas, you know, that Thomas Conant.
Oh, yeah. You mean the cattleman?
Yeah, got an answer to his ad.
Is that right?
Yeah. Somebody called him up and he said that he made a real good deal for himself, and he's shipping her back to Texas.
Well, you mean he found a girl?
No, bought himself another Holstein.
The story you've just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 17th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Quality throughout is what we try to put in every Dragnet show, and it's what Chesterfield gives you in every cigarette. It's the first premium quality cigarette in both regular and king size. And smoking 2 packs a day myself, I can tell you that they're milder with a real good taste. Chesterfield.
Jonathan Arthur Benson, alias Jack Bentley, was tried and convicted of grand theft. He received sentence as prescribed by law. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Peggy Weber, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, make tomorrow your D-Day. Get an extra bond for defense. Step into any bank or post office and buy yourself a profitable share in America's future. As an investment, bonds are better than ever. They can help you save safely, conveniently, and profitably. So whether you already buy on the payroll savings plan where you work or the bond-a-month plan where you bank, get an extra bond for defense tomorrow.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A hold-up man has been hitting large supermarkets in your city. He's fast and is experienced. Your job? Get him. Tonight, I have a new report for you. A most important one, too. Because when you're asked to try a cigarette, you want to know, and you ought to know, what that cigarette has meant to people who smoke it all the time. After a full year of observation, a medical specialist who has given a group of Chesterfield smokers thorough examinations every 2 months for the full year reports no adverse effects to their nose, throat, or sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. More and more men and women all over the country are finding out every day that Chesterfield is best for them. Enjoy your smoking. Try Chesterfields today. They're best for you. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 7th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. We We were on the way out from the office, and it was 10:22 a.m. when we got to the corner of 67th Street and Jefferson Boulevard, Lamont Brothers Market.
Oh, I guess I should have been scared the way they came in with those guns, but I wasn't. That one came back into the office and said he wanted the money. I gave it to him. I wasn't going to mess with him.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes, I'm Haskins. Who are you?
Police officer, sir. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Friday and Smith. Oh, yeah. You're the fellows that was talking about, huh?
Sir?
Well, the other ones, the cops in the car. They said there'd be a couple of detectives here. Have you seen the other cops yet?
Yes, sir. We talked to them. They've already put out a call.
What if we get some information from you?
Sure. You want to come back here to the office?
Yes, sir.
Back this way. We can talk there. Just sit down.
Mr. Haskins, if you'd just tell us what happened, please.
Well, it's pretty simple. I was sitting here getting the money ready for the bank, and this guy came in. He said he wanted the money. Had a gun, so I gave it to him. That's it. Not anymore. He just took the money and left.
Mm-hmm. What time was it, sir?
Oh, around 8:30, 8:45.
How many men were there, sir?
Well, there was two. Two is all I saw. I don't think there was any more of them.
All right, sir. If you could just tell us exactly what happened.
Well, I told you they came in. They took the money.
I know, sir, but if you'd go into more detail.
Well, I came in about 7:30 this morning, like always. Checked things over the store to make sure that everything was okay. Then I started checking out the week's receipts.
Uh-huh.
Well, then, like I said, it must have been 8:45 or so, and heard this knock on the door. Thought there must be something wrong. The employees know not to bother me when I'm making up the deposit slips.
Yes, sir.
That's when I knew that something was wrong. Right away, I said to myself, Larry, there's something up. Something isn't good.
Yes, sir.
Well, it was right. Went over to the door and unlocked it. There he was, this big fellow, stood there with a gun. Well, his eyes lit up when he saw all that money laying on the desk.
You got any idea of how much money was taken, sir?
Well, it was about $6,000 cash. I guess another $1,500 in checks, more or less.
Uh-huh. I wonder if you'd give us a description of this man, could you?
Well, like I said, he was a big one, real mountain of a man, well over 6 feet. Had this gun, you know.
Uh-huh.
He stood there and said, this is stick-up. I want that money. And he pointed at the money with his gun.
Oh, what kind of a gun was it? Could you tell?
That's a great question. Of course I could tell. He had right under my nose. Shotgun, sawed off. Had the stock cut down, too. Looked like a horse pistol. The way he handled that thing, I wasn't going to mess with him.
Uh-huh.
I told him, take the money. Take it and get out. Not to shoot that thing off. He did. Walked right over to the desk and scooped up the money. He had a paper bag. He put it down to the table and he scooped the money into it. Then he said to me to stay put. Not to try to yell or be brave. Didn't have to tell me that. I wouldn't have tried anything.
He said there was another man, is that right?
Yes, I saw him when they left. He's a little fellow.
Mm-hmm. About how tall, would you say?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell. I didn't get very close to him.
Well, was he armed, too?
Yeah, he was carrying a revolver.
They drive a car, would you know?
Well, if they did, I didn't see it.
You went out after them, then?
I should say not. The way that one fellow waved that gun around, I stayed right here. He said to stay put, and that's just what I did.
What'd this big man look like?
Oh, a real mountain. He was 6'2" anyway. He must have weighed in at about 215.
Mm-hmm. How about his coloring?
It was dark. He had black hair. His eyes were dark. Not a brown. It was almost black. Real dark.
Mm-hmm. And when he spoke, did he have an accent, anything like that you might have noticed?
No, I don't think so. At least there was one. I didn't notice it. Mm-mm.
Did he have any scars or marks?
What?
Any scars or marks? Anything that might make it easier for us to identify him?
Yes, there was a little scar right here. Right over the bridge of his nose. Across here.
How about his clothes? What was he wearing?
Had a brown hat on, a brown jacket. Short kind of what you'd call that the real slick material, you know. Satin, like bowling teams wear.
Yes, sir.
Had on a pair of brown pants, brown shoes.
How was the other one dressed?
I couldn't tell you for sure. Like I said, I only saw him for a minute when I opened the door. He was out there telling the people to just mind their own business. Do that and they wouldn't get hurt. I didn't get a good look at him, but that big one, he was a real mountain.
Do you usually have this much money around in the store?
No, not usually. See, this was a long weekend. You know, the 4th was Friday, and whenever we have a long weekend, we usually have $10,000 or $12,000 in cash here. That's where the guys really goofed.
Sir?
Really missed the boat. You know, if they'd known what they were doing, they'd have gotten a lot more.
Well, how's that, sir?
The safe out in front. Another $7,000 out there. Guys missed it completely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I sure hope they don't come back for it.
$11:05 a.m. Frank and I checked with the officers in the radio unit that had answered the call. They'd gotten out a broadcast on the bandits and then started the canvass of the neighborhood, but they didn't find anyone who could give them any information. One of the clerks was able to describe the smaller of the two suspects, and we got out a local and an APB on them. Then we took the market manager downtown to look at the mug books. He told us that the larger man had worn gloves all the time he was in the store, so there was no need to look for fingerprints. The market bandits had been operating for the past 8 months. In that time, they'd held up 17 stores. Their method of operation was always the same. They'd hit only after a weekend or on the Monday following a holiday weekend. They'd hit only the larger supermarkets of the ranch type. Their operations had taken them all over the Southland. We'd tried to stake the markets that might be hit, but their field of operations had been so wide that it was impossible. 2:15 p.m. The market manager, Larry Haskins, started on the 6th mug book.
Sure, a lot of them.
Yes, sir.
All these fellas, all committed some crime, huh?
Yes, sir, that's right.
That one there looks like my brother-in-law. He's got a weak chin. Yeah, just like him. No. Go through a few of these, and they all begin to look alike. Did you ever notice that?
Yes, sir.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
This fella here. This one right here, you see?
Mm-hmm.
That's the fella, no doubt about it. That's the one.
The market manager had identified Bernard R. Hansen as one of the hold-up men. The other employees of the store were called in, and they identified the same picture as being the man who'd held them up. We checked on his record and found that he'd been convicted for armed robbery and had been sentenced to the state penitentiary. He'd also served 6.5 years and had been released. We got the last known address of the suspect. Frank and I checked it out and found that Hansen had moved some months before, but had left a phone number where he might be contacted. 6:30 p.m. Frank put in the call.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir. You're sure about that, are you? I see. Well, if there's anything more you can think of, I'd appreciate a call. That's right, Michigan 5211. Extension 2511. Smith, that's right. Or if I'm not in, ask for Joe Friday. No, sir, Friday, like the day in the week. That's right. All right, thank you very much, Doctor. Goodbye.
Anything?
Yeah, I talked to Dr. Corby. The place is a rest home. Hansen's there as a patient. Been there for the past 4 months. Doctor says he's bedridden.
We checked on the rest home. It was a private sanitarium in the valley. We got in touch with the medical authorities and found that the head of the hospital was listed as Dr. James Corby. Frank and I drove out and talked to Dr. Corby and the rest of the staff. From them, we got the story that Hansen had been a resident of the home for the past 4 months. We found that he had a lung ailment and was confined to his bed 24 hours a day. The doctor showed us his records and charts, and from what we could tell, it would have been impossible for Hansen to have been the bandit. 3 weeks passed. On August 4th, the market thieves hit again, this time out in East Los Angeles. They got away with a little over $9,000. The manager of the market came downtown and checked the mug books. They again identified Hansen as the thief. We had the stats office make another run on the MO used. The result came back, and out of the thousands of cards checked, only one fitted the way the robbery had been carried out. Hansen's. We called the rest home and found that on the day of the holdup, the suspect hadn't left his bed. Another month passed. During that time, we ran down all leads. Informants were questioned, but they could tell us nothing. Apparently, the hold-up men were hitting and then dropping completely out of sight until they hit again. Monday, October 27th, 8:05 a.m. I checked in for work.
Joe?
Yeah. Did you just get in?
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago. Sure is a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you see Didion yet?
No. Well, he talked yesterday. I don't want to.
Well, he's pretty hacked. I can't blame him too much. The guy sure seemed to have us stopped.
The thing I can't understand is that everybody's positive it's Hansen. Doesn't seem to be any doubt in their minds.
That doesn't make any sense. Did you get the kickback on the doctor?
Yeah, I came in late yesterday.
How about it?
Well, can't find anything on him. Family man, lives out in the valley, a couple of blocks from the hospital. Checked his bank account. He does pretty well, not great. No big deposits lately.
Mm-hmm. Did you check the AMA on him?
Yeah, he's not a member. They haven't got anything on him.
How about the rest of the staff out there?
Well, seems to be okay. 2 of the nurses have been there for over 2 years, and the male nurse was hired about 5 months ago.
That'd be just before Hansen got there.
Yeah.
Well, what's his record?
There isn't any. Not a thing on him in the files, nothing from Washington.
Well, I don't know. He seemed to come up out of the ground, pull the jobs, and then drop back in. Nothing on the partner?
No, thought I had something. Talked to an informant this morning while I had coffee. He thought at first that he knew who the little guy was, but then he remembered that the fellow he was thinking about died 2 years ago.
A hot shot, I'll get it. Well, let's go. I hit again. 8:01 a.m. that morning, a pair of hold-up men had walked into a market out on Adams Boulevard and robbed the place of a little under $11,000. The manager gave us a description of the hold-up men. One was large, dark, and had a small scar over the bridge of his nose. The other was small, sandy-haired, and had no visible marks or scars. We showed the manager mugshots of Hanson, and he positively identified him as the larger of the two men. A local and an APB was gotten out on the pair, and then Frank and I drove out to the hospital to see Hanson. 8:46 a.m. We talked with Dr. Corby.
I know you men are trying to do your duty, but I've told you before it couldn't possibly be Mr. Hanson. I know for a fact that he hasn't been out of his bed this morning.
Was it possible for him to get out of his room without you knowing it?
No.
Wonder if we could see him, Doctor.
No, I don't think that'd be possible. He's still asleep, and I can't have him disturbed.
You're sure, though, that he couldn't have left the hospital without you knowing it?
Absolutely. No chance of it.
What time does Hanson generally wake up, Doctor?
Depends. Usually, though, I'd say he's awake by 9:30 or so.
Wonder if we could wait and talk to him.
If you like. I'll tell one of the nurses to call you when he's awake.
All right, sir. That'd be fine.
One thing, though, I must insist on.
What's that, Doctor?
He mustn't be excited. I don't think you gentlemen really know how ill Mr. Hanson is. If you had any idea, you wouldn't be out here with this ridiculous questioning.
Yes, sir. We understand. We're just trying to get this thing straightened out as soon as we can.
Fine. I'll go along with you part of the way, but I'll not have my patient disturbed. Any excitement would be very bad for him.
Well, don't worry, Doctor. We'll be as brief as possible.
Fine. If you'll excuse me now, I've got some things to do. I'll tell the nurse to call you when he wakes up. And remember, no excitement.
What do you figure, Joe?
Well, it's got me. The way he talks, every one of those witnesses are wrong.
Yeah, it's happened before. Get a positive identification and end up with the wrong guy.
Yeah, but all of them are so positive, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You the police officer?
Yeah, that's right. Why?
I'm Bob Jameson. I work here.
Oh, yeah, you're the male nurse, that right?
Yeah. You're out here about Barney Hanson, aren't you?
We want to see him, yeah.
What can we do for you?
It's about Barney.
What about him?
I don't think things are the way they look.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I wouldn't want the doctor to know I've been talking to you. He'd raise the roof, probably fire me.
Well, what's it about, Jameson?
Like I said, it's about Barney.
Yeah.
Well, when I came here, they told me that Barney was pretty sick. Said they didn't expect him to live.
Yeah.
One day the buzzer rang in his room. You know he wanted something?
Uh-huh.
Well, the doctor was on the phone. The other nurses were busy, so I started down the hall to see what Barney wanted. Got to the door of the room, and the doctor stopped me.
Uh-huh.
Really read me off. Said that I wasn't to go into the room at all. That he was taking care of Barney personally, that he'd see what he wanted.
Yeah?
Well, that was just the first time. Same things happened a couple more times. And he told us about you. Told us what to say if you asked any questions.
Well, what did he tell you?
Said that we wasn't to tell you anything. That we didn't know anything.
Well, why didn't you tell us all this before?
Well, you see, this isn't a regular hospital. I don't think that he's even a regular doctor. I've worked around hospitals for a long time, and I never saw no doctor act like he does. He doesn't even know how to write out a diet, feed some of the people here all the wrong things.
That right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else, too.
What's that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with Barney. I think the whole reason for him being here is phony.
Bob?
Oh, yes, Doctor.
What are you doing here?
Came to see if these gentlemen needed anything.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll take care of it now. Will you check on Mr. Hardy, please? See if he's awake yet.
Yeah, sure.
Just a minute.
What?
I'd like you to stay here for a minute. I'm afraid we're going to have to see Mr. Hanson right now, Doctor.
I'm afraid that's impossible. I told you before, I'm not going to have him disturbed.
I'm afraid we're going to have to disturb him. Won't take very long. Jameson, where's his room?
I'll show you. It's down this way.
I'm going to speak to your superiors about this, coming into a hospital and disturbing patients. I'm sure the fact that you're officers doesn't give you the right to do this.
This is his room.
You want to open the door? Well, how about it, Doctor?
Well, I don't understand it. He's got to be here. He can't get out of bed. I'm sure there's some explanation for his disappearance.
Yeah, maybe you can explain this, too. This stuff here in his bed.
What is it, Joe?
A gun and some money.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield Regular, Chesterfield King Size. The first cigarette to give you premium quality either way you like 'em. This means that King Size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other King Size cigarette. Chesterfield is first to name all its ingredients, ingredients that make the best possible smoke. And Chesterfield gives you this full year's scientific report. No adverse effects to the nose and throat of a group smoking only Chesterfields. So enjoy your smoking.
Change to Chesterfield today. Much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste.
9:30 a.m. We called the office, and 2 more teams of men came out to help us search the place. Hanson was not on the grounds of the hospital. In his room, we found several floor plan drawings of markets that had been robbed. The drawings showed the location of the manager's office and of the safe. Along with the drawings, we found several maps with roads marked on them leading back to the hospital. A stakeout was placed on the rest home in the event that the suspect returned, and Frank and I drove the doctor back downtown. We talked to him for an hour before he finally told us the story. He said that Hanson had come to him and offered him money to say that he was ill and to give him a room. The doctor went on to say that after he got started, he tried to get out of the deal, but that Hanson said he'd get his family if the doctor said anything about his activities to the police. Dr. Corby gave us the name of Hanson's accomplice, Marty Peterson. He said that he didn't know where Peterson lived, but that he usually came out a couple of times a week to see Hanson. We notified the stakeout to be on the lookout for Peterson, and then we booked Dr. Corby at the main jail. We ran the name Marty Peterson through R&I, but we got no make. We sent the name to George Brereton up at CII in Sacramento, and also to Washington. The kickback gave Peterson a record of 2 arrests of robbery and 1 for ADW in the East. It also gave the name of a sister who lived in Los Angeles. We checked with her, and she was able to tell us where Peterson lived. Thursday, October 30th. Frank and I drove out to his apartment.
Who is it?
It's the manager.
Just a minute.
Yeah, what is it? You Marty Peterson?
Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
Come on, drop on up. Get out of here, you lousy fuck.
All right, come on, get up.
You got no right to come in here and bother me. What's all this about?
Want to shake him?
Yeah. Come on, get your hands up on that wall. He's carrying a gun, Joe. Here.
I got it.
What are you guys trying to prove? I didn't do nothing. You guys lean on everybody like this. Fella's got a record, and right away he's fair game for every crummy cop in the country.
Yeah, you bet. Come on, let's go.
Well, you still haven't told me what this is all about. What are you putting the pinch on me for?
Robbery.
Robbery? You're off your rocker. I'm out here on a vacation. I haven't done anything.
You're an ex-con with a gun. That's a felony. And where's Barney Hanson?
Who?
Barney Hanson. Where is he?
I don't know no Barney Hanson. Don't know what you're talking about.
All right, let's come off it, Peterson. Now, where is he?
Barney Hanson? Well, I might know who you're talking about. I know a fellow by that name, but he's out in the hospital in the valley. Haven't seen him for a long time in a hospital out in the valley.
Nice try, Peterson. Hanson checked out of the hospital. We got the doctor. He told us all about it. Now, where's Hanson?
I don't know. Last I heard of him, he's out at that hospital. If he ain't there now, I don't know where he is.
All right, let's go downtown.
That doctor copped out, huh?
Yeah. Told us in on the whole setup.
How about the money? You find the money?
No, we didn't find anything.
You didn't find any dough at all?
Not a bit.
The crumb, the lousy crumb. He told me to be safe out there. They'd never shake a hospital. Not a dime, huh?
No. Looks like he left you to stand for this. He probably took off with all the money. Probably never see him again.
Yeah, we ain't going to get away with it. No, sir, he ain't.
Looks like he will.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you where he is.
We took Marty Hanson down to the city hall, and he was booked at the main jail. Before he was booked, he gave us the name and address of Hanson's girlfriend. Frank and I drove over and talked to her. She told us that she hadn't seen the suspect for several weeks. She said that she'd heard that Hanson had been running around with another girl. She also told us that she'd heard Hanson had bought a new car and was running around with a new bunch of friends. She said that she hadn't seen him since he got the new car, but that she'd heard it was a new Oldsmobile and it was painted a fire engine red. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on her apartment, and then we began to check out the Oldsmobile dealers in the Los Angeles area. 2 teams of men were assigned to help us in running down the list. It took us 2 days to talk to the dealers in town. Each of the dealers was shown a mugshot of Hanson. 2 days went by. Finally, we got an identification. A dealer out on Franklin in Hollywood reported that he'd sold a car to Hanson. However, when we checked the address he gave us, we found that Hanson had moved a week before and left no forwarding address. We got in touch with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and from them we got the address where they sent the pink slip. It was an apartment house out on Highland Avenue. Frank and I went out to check it out.
Yes?
Bernard Hanson in?
No, he isn't. Something you wanted?
You expecting him?
I don't know. I haven't seen him this morning. I just got here myself.
What if we could talk to you?
Who are you?
Police officers. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do? I'm Lily Edwards. Come on in.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
get you anything? A cup of coffee, anything?
No, thanks. When'd you last see Hanson?
Last night. We got a date at 2:30 this afternoon. What time is it now?
Well, it's 2:37, ma'am.
Late. He'll be along in a minute. What do you want to see him about? Done something?
Better if we could talk to him.
Personal, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
He's a wild one, old Barney. Him and that red car. Real wild.
Ma'am?
That car he drives. You know, it's a red Olds. He's like a kid with it, always wiping it off, taking care of it. I think he'd bring it up here at night if he could. Never seen anything like it.
Mm-hmm. How long you known Hanson, Miss Edwards?
Not long. A couple of weeks, I guess. Not much more than that.
Where'd you meet him?
Well, I hope you won't get the wrong idea, but...
Ma'am?
Well, I live down on Vine Street, below Fountain, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I usually have morning coffee at the drugstore, the big one on Vine. Well, one morning Barney comes in. I guess it's about 9, somewhere around there. He plunks down on a stool next to mine. Then he takes out a package of cigarettes and starts to light one. He's shaking so much he can hardly hold the match up to the cigarette. Well, I got to laughing because I thought he was hung over. Anyways, we got to talking, and the next thing I knew, he asked me out to lunch.
Uh-huh.
Well, I knew it wasn't proper, but I figured, well, he seemed like a nice guy, so I told him that I'd meet him. We had lunch that day, and we sort of been going together since.
I see. Hanson ever told you what he did for a living?
No. I asked him a couple of times, but he wouldn't say anything right to the point. He'd, kind of hedge around the bush. So I figured that he didn't want to tell me, and I stopped asking. He was always nice to me. No need for me to pry into his personal affairs. What time you got now?
It's 2:40, ma'am.
Can't understand it. He's usually so prompt. I hope nothing happened to him. He said sure to meet him at 2:30. Or was it 3:30? I don't remember too well. Never sure about times or dates, things like that, you know.
Yes, ma'am. You ever met a man named Peterson, Marty Peterson?
Marty Peterson? Yeah, I've met him, little guy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he's a friend of Barney's. They're in some sort of business together. I don't know just what it is, but I know that they're associated in some way.
Hanson's never said anything about this business to you, has he?
No. Like I said, he's very close-mouthed about what he does.
You ever mention a Dr. Corby to you?
Corby? No, I don't think I've ever heard that name before.
Would you know how long Hanson's lived here?
No, I think he moved in just before I met him. I don't think he's been here very long. Say, what are all these questions about? I hope I haven't said anything to get Barney in trouble. He's such a nice guy. I sure wouldn't want to do that.
No, ma'am, you haven't done that.
Hi, Lily. Who are you? What are you doing here?
Police officers. You're under arrest, Hanson.
For what?
Suspicion of robbery. I'll shake him, Joe.
Now, wait a minute. What is this, a shakedown? What are you guys trying to prove? You got nothing on me. I fell once. I did my time. I owe you nothing.
He's clean, Joe.
Why'd you do that? I'm not giving you any trouble. I got no reason. You got nothing on me. I got nothing to worry about. I'll go with you. There's no reason not to.
You mean what these guys say is true? You've been mixed up in some robbery?
Oh, knock it off.
What do you mean, knock it off? Don't you talk to me like that. I'm not going to take talk like that from you.
Like I said, knock it off.
All right, come on, let's go.
You really figure you got me for a 211, huh?
Yeah, we got the rest of them, too.
Peterson and the doc?
That's right.
I suppose they talked, huh?
Yep, they told us all about it.
Sweet racket. Should have known it could only last so long. Should have figured that the longer I played against the house, the shorter my chances were.
It is true, and you never told me. All this time, and you never told me you were a crook. Of all the rotten deals...
Oh, shut up, will you? Always shooting off your big mouth.
Listen, Barney Hanson, I told you before, don't you talk to me like that. I won't take it.
You haven't got much choice now, have you, Lily? You know something, Cot?
What's that?
May be kind of pleasure to get into a nice, quiet jail. Get away from this dumb broad. She's the dumbest broad in the entire United States and Canada. Real pretty, but boy, she's stupid.
Now, I told you, Barney Hanson, I'm not going to have you talk to me like that.
Kid's a real shrew. Young, she's a real shrew. Let's go. Glad to get away from her.
All right, Barney Hanson, that does it. I'm through with you. I've had it. It's going to be a long time before I even talk to you. A long time.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 4th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Earlier tonight, George Fenneman gave you what I consider pretty strong evidence that Chesterfield is the cigarette you ought to be smoking. That's why I'd like you to try a pack of Chesterfields. I think you'll find they give you everything you want. A real good taste and Chesterfield mildness.
Bernard R. Hanson and Martin S. Peterson were tried and convicted of robbery in the first degree. They were filed on for 10 counts and received sentences as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of from 5 years to life.
Dr. James Corby was allowed to plead guilty to a lesser charge and was sentenced to 1 year in the county jail and placed on probation for 10 years. One of the terms of his probation being that he is not permitted to operate a rest home. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the fight against an old enemy, polio, medical research has armed us with a powerful new weapon, gamma globulin. Used soon enough, it can prevent the paralyzing effects of polio. But first, you must furnish the raw material, blood. Doctors urgently need your donation of blood to make gamma globulin. So call the Red Cross. Please don't put it off. It's too important. Call the Red Cross tomorrow and make an appointment to give blood.